George Silver and his wife Marcia are suing process server Richard Horner for using excessive force while serving a warrant. Richard is countersuing, claiming the Silvers have filed a frivolous lawsuit.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 582 on the calendar in the matter of Silver versus Horner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Silver, you are suing the defendant who is a process server. It is your claim that Mr. Horner overstepped his bounds while attempting to serve a summons on, I believe it was you, Mr. Silver. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And it is your claim that he trespassed in your home, caused you some emotional distress.
Yes.
Mr. Horner says he was within his rights in serving the summons the way he did, and he is counterclaiming because he says that you have no right to sue him, and you're wasting his time. So I have a few brief questions. Mr. Horner, how long have you been a process server, sir?
I've been a process server for over 20 years. My company...
Okay, don't tell me about your company. 20 years. And when were you hired to serve a summons on Mr. Silver?
Sometime in the early week of August.
Give me the date.
I'm not exactly sure the date. I know I served him on the 15th, so it was approximately a week prior to that I was given the summons to serve.
1 week prior?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you made any attempts to serve... Put that down. Had you made any attempts to serve him?
Yes, I did.
When was the first attempt?
The first attempt was probably the day I got the service, and I saw that it was a secured, locked complex.
So what efforts did you make to serve him?
If you don't mind, I'd like to go to my steps to access.
No. I don't want you to read anything.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you did.
What I did is I contacted the owner and management of the complex.
Where Mr. Silver lives?
That's correct.
Go ahead.
And I said that I'm a process server, and I have a summons to serve on one of their tenants, and I would like to gain access with their permission and direction.
And what were you advised?
I was advised that someone would meet me there to show me into the property.
What was the name of the person you spoke to?
I do not recall, ma'am.
That's too bad for you, Mr. Horner. What was the name of the person that let you into the property?
I do not recall, ma'am. It was a manager.
That's also too bad for you, Mr. Horner. Someone who is in a professional capacity as you, it seemed to me, would keep very careful notes about who you spoke to, especially about getting into a locked premises, and the person who let you into that premises.
However, ma'am,
So, excuse me?
it's part of the guidelines of a process server to respect and keep confidential the
Then you
guard
don't
or
say,
the
I
owner.
don't remember, sir. Then you say, I can't give you that information. That's a different story. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now, there is no privileged communication between you and the management company of a building or you and the security guard of a building. You are neither a priest, nor a journalist, nor a physician, or anybody else. So I want you to give me the name of the person you spoke to at the complex.
Okay. Ma'am, for this reason, I do not take notes, and I don't care who the person is that lets me in. And I'd like to quote a law on this subject, if you don't mind.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Hold on. So, what happened on the 8th of August, sir? Somebody let you in, and?
On the 15th of August.
Oh, no, so you didn't go in on the 8th.
No, I did not go in.
So then
I
my
contacted
question...
them. I contacted them.
I want you to pay attention. I speak English. My English is very clear. It's how I made a living for 35 years. I said to you, when did you make the first attempt at service? Not, Mr. Horner, when you called somebody on the phone. So I want you to tell me, when was the first time you attempted to serve Mr. Silva?
The first attempt is when I went to the property and discovered that it was locked.
And that was on the 8th?
That was on the 8th, correct.
You discovered it was a locked premises, so you went back to your office, and then you made a phone call.
I actually directed this to somebody that works for me and said, please find me the owner or manager, tell them I'd like to speak to them, and make an appointment for me to go there with their permission to gain access to the property.
And when were you given access to the premises?
On the 15th of August.
So the answer is you only attempted service really one time, and that was on the 15th.
That's correct.
See how easy that was, Mr. Horner?
Yes, ma'am.
I've been cross-examining longer than you've been alive. Now, where did you first come in contact with this person?
Outside the gate that allows access to the premise.
And they opened the locked premises for you?
That is correct.
Where did you go?
He let me in, and I went into the building of Mr. Silver.
And what did you do once you got into the building?
I went to the door, rang the doorbell.
You mean to their apartment?
That's correct.
Who answered the door?
Mr. Silver answered the door.
And what did you do when Mr. Silver answered the door?
I said, I'm a process server. I showed him my identification, which I have here, if you'd like to see it.
No.
And I said, I have some papers here for you. And he jumped back, tried to close the door, and I threw the papers inside and said, you've been served. Best of luck to you, sir. You might want to contact your attorney.
So far? First, Mr. Silver.
Totally false, Your Honor. We are the owners of the building. It's a condominium. We own it. The manager is not on the premises of the building at all.
Well, who is
There's
the
no
mana-
way of
who is
contacting the manager unless you know who it is.
Well, they might have been able
I'm on the board.
Listen to me, Mr. Silver. Who manages the building?
We have a private company that does
Name.
some work for it,
Name of the managing company, Mr. Silver.
I believe, and there's another name.
Are those the people you contacted?
That is correct.
Fine.
There's no way, Your Honor. That
Don't tell me that there's no way. That's very possible, Mr.
All right.
Silver. Now, Mrs. Silver, I'm going to direct your attention to the 15th of August.
Yes.
And I want you to tell me what happened, to the best of your recollection, when Mr. Horner came to serve the summons.
There was a knock on my door. Being that I live in a building that you have to have a key to get through 3 gates and a buzzer to get into the main area, I figured that it was somebody that I knew. So I walked to the door. First I said, who is it? And I heard something that sounded similar. I'm here for George, or is George here? I just heard George. I did not hear Silver.
Is that your husband's first name?
My husband's first name is George. So I opened up the door a little bit, and the next thing I knew, in true Gestapo fashion, he shoved the door open. I was the one that was there. He shoved the door open, and he elbowed his way in, and he walked in, and he cut a turn into my living room, went through the living room, into the family room, into the bathroom, and as he was into the back going into the bedroom, my husband heard it, came out of the bathroom wrapped in a bright red terry cloth towel, which is not a pretty picture. He walked out and he said, what's going on? What's going on? He was wet, and he said, Mr. Silver or George Silver or what? I just heard him asking his name. I was, by that time, was very, very upset. He handed him the paper. He said, this is for you. He turned around. As he walked back, I tried to question him, and I was also brusquely shoved aside, and he walked out. And even to this day, I'm not the scary type, but even to this day, when I'm alone, I don't answer the door unless...
He doesn't look so scary to me, Mrs. Silver.
Well, I didn't...
It's a frightening experience.
Yeah, I'm shaking now
It's a
thinking about it,
frightening
'cause
experience.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's neat service when you serve the defendant themselves. Substituted service would have meant service on Mrs. Silver. You and I understand each other, Mr. Horner?
We understand.
I've been around for a long time.
I understand.
And later today,
She has undermined him. She has belittled him. She has brainwashed him. My son had to have her taken away to a mental institution for 3 days. I mean, she went chasing her around with knives.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. George and Marcia Silver claim process server Richard Horner used excessive force while serving a warrant. The Silvers claim Richard strong-armed his way into their home.
Now, Mr. Horner, Mrs. Silver tells a story that is slightly different from yours, sir.
Your Honor, that is ridiculous, and I'd like to tell you why. Can I give you some evidence so you can see what I'm talking about?
What is it?
It's code sections. I'd like to call your attention to two...
Don't show me code sections.
Okay.
I'm not interested in code sections.
Okay.
That's not evidence,
All
sir.
right.
You're
Here's my
well
evidence.
aware of the fact,
Okay.
Mr. Horner, and you were advised before you came here
Yes.
that I am not bound by any code, any local statute. You're well aware of that.
I'm well aware of that.
Then I want you to give me evidence, sir.
Okay, I will give you evidence.
You gave me a story that is totally dissimilar from that of Mrs. Silver.
Okay, let me give you my answer. My answer is very simple. There is no reason for me to do that because the law prescribes the following. A registered process server, which I have been for several decades, and I'm not only...
I understand,
Okay.
sir, Mr. Horner. If what you're going to tell me is that you can serve on someone of reasonable age within your suitable discretion at the home and consider
That's
it proper
correct.
service, the only problem is, sir, it removes one step from the personal service.
Okay.
Do you understand? You
Yes.
and I understand each other, Mr. Horner?
We understand.
I've been around for a long time.
I understand.
It's neat service when you serve the defendant themselves.
That's
Is that
correct.
right, Mr. Horner?
However, let me call...
No. So it's just so everybody else understands, including Bird, who may not remember this from our old civil days. If you substitute service, and what you're talking about, Mr. Horner, is what we call in the trade substituted service.
That is
Isn't
correct.
that right, Mr. Horner?
That is correct.
Substituted service would have meant service on Mrs. Silva. Then
is
you would have
correct.
had to have done an affidavit and then perhaps a hearing to determine whether or not he actually got the summons. It's not neat. So it's not the same thing. Put your hand down.
Yes,
What,
ma'am.
what I was going to offer to you as evidence is that I do not need to come into contact with him as long as we're within reasonable distance, both physical and speaking distance.
Listen to me, sir. You have to see him.
That's correct.
That is correct,
And
sir.
that's what
And
happened.
just listen to me, sir. And according to Mrs. Silva, you did not see him until you were inside the apartment.
I would never do that. I have in 23 years, Your Honor, with
my
over
God.
1,000 services each year, personally. I do not need to because I can make more money by hanging out and waiting for him. I don't charge a flat fee, Your Honor.
Do you have a listed or an unlisted phone?
It's listed, Your Honor.
I want to know, Mr. Horner, why is it that you did not try to telephone Mr. and Mrs. Silva or Mr. Silva and say, I have a summons that has to be served?
I never do that
Why not?
because approximately 50% of the people would avoid service.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Horner. When you were given the summons to serve Mr. Silva, the summons of necessity had to describe who he was, his age, physical condition, etc.
Correct.
So if you have physical description, because usually a summons, at least if possible, contains a physical description of the
That's
person to
correct.
be served. We both know that. How old are you, Mr. Silva?
73, Your Honor.
If you were going to serve a summons on someone who was 73 years old, and according to my eye, slightly overweight,
I'm on a
I
diet, Your
might
Honor.
say that discretion would be to pick up the telephone and say, look, Mr. Silva, I have a summons to serve on you. I see that you're 73 years old. I don't want to frighten you. I don't want to frighten your wife. I don't want to have to come at some ungodly time. That, to me, is what somebody with 20 years' experience does when they're dealing with serving somebody who is in their 70s.
I beg to differ, Your
Well,
Honor.
that's too bad. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. I think you stepped out of bounds, Mr. Horner. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Approximately once a year, a wise guy decides that they can undo the process service,
He got off very easily.
unravel their problems in court.
First of all, it was a complete lie.
When we left, he threatened me and said, you're not done with me yet.
Absolutely false.
It's not personal. I don't care.
This guy's got to be stopped. He's a bully, and he uses Gestapo tactics, and he shouldn't be allowed to do this.
Bank investigator Charlotte Alston and her fiancé, bill collector Derek Smith, are suing neighbor, drugstore clerk Rick Ryan for vandalism to their home, harassment, and slander. Rick is countersuing for vandalism to his cars.
Order. All rise. Right in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 554 on the calendar in the matter of Smith Alston versus Ryan. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. You folks have seats, please.
Miss Alston, according to what I've read, you and Mr. Smith moved into a house.
Yes.
Along with some children. Are they your children?
Yes. We have a daughter together,
Are there other children in the house?
my 2 sons.
How old is your daughter?
She's 7.
You've been dating a long time.
10 years.
The test is over. And you moved into the house when? In the year 2000?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan and his family are your neighbors.
Correct.
And according to your complaint, there has been a series of harassing behavior as well as some vandalism that has occurred to your home caused by Mr. Ryan and his children. Mr. Ryan says that the harassment is really yours and that you have been harassing him, his children. You have foster children?
Yes.
How many foster children do
2
you have?
foster children, 2 adopted.
Are these your 2 foster children?
Well, one's adopted, one's a foster.
In any event, I have a claim and a counterclaim, each for a substantial amount of money for the harassment and damage to property. And I gather, Ms. Alston, from your complaint that you are, in fact, selling your house and moving
Yes.
because of this problem.
Yes.
That's very sad. Okay. When did the problem start?
2001.
Tell me about it.
Well, when the children started going to school, they befriended his foster children. One incident occurred where Royce had received a scooter for Christmas, which his son broke about a month later, and they had a fight about it.
You got into a fight with him? Tell me about that. Stand up there next to your mom. You stand up there. Did he break your scooter by accident?
It was on purpose.
Tell me how he purposely broke your scooter.
He threw it on the sidewalk and it broke the handles.
Why did he throw it?
I don't know.
Was he just being careless? Or was he angry? Why did you break your scooter?
It was an accident. I was just swinging it around and then slipped out of my
Slowly.
hand.
It was an accident because
I was swinging it around and then it slipped out of my hands.
you were swinging it around. Well, that wasn't handling it like you're supposed to handle a scooter, so you broke it because you weren't being careful, right? Did you pay for the scooter? Why not?
I knew nothing about it.
If you had known about it, would you have paid for the scooter?
Sure.
How come you didn't tell him?
We did.
Tell me about it.
After the fight occurred, the police were called.
No. The scooter was broken.
Right.
Right after the scooter was broken, did you tell Mr. Ryan what had happened?
No, because not even I knew about it until after the fight.
How much after the scooter was broken did the fight take place?
Probably 2 or 3 days.
Okay, so then there's a fight. Go ahead.
After the fight, the police were called. The police came to my house. That's when Royce had then told me his older brother, Anthony, had broke his scooter.
Older brother Anthony.
His older brother was the one who broke the scooter.
So you didn't break the scooter. Did Anthony break the scooter? Who broke the scooter, David?
Anthony.
Then why did you just tell me you broke it? David, why did you tell me that you broke the scooter if it was Anthony who broke it?
Because I didn't remember if it was me or him.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, after the police were called, because Royce had hit him a couple of times and I guess he had retaliated back, we had told the police officer about the scooter, and the police officer went and talked to Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan, like he said he knew nothing about it. He never offered to pay for the scooter, so we just basically said we'll get our son another one.
Okay. So that was first thing that happened. Now, did that start the trouble?
Yes.
Go ahead.
About 2 weeks later, they got a scooter or whatever, found a scooter on the street or whatever. The kids saw it and said, hey, are you going to replace our scooter? And he said, no, we're not going to.
David said no?
Was it David?
Yeah.
Okay, David. So what Royce did, he got upset. He took the scooter and threw it in the garbage. After
Not
that,
the right thing to do, Royce. Right? Okay.
so I guess he went to go look for the scooter, and it was gone. And ever since then, we've been having a lot of chaos with this gentleman.
With the gentleman or with his children?
No, with him.
Well, tell me about it.
Royce was outside. He was walking home from Greer, which is a park that's right around the corner from our house. Frederick Ryan was outside and made a gesture to Royce, hey, would you like to own one of these? Which was a water scooter or jet ski. And Royce looked at him like he was crazy. After that, Frederick came across the street to my house and requested to speak to Royce's parents. We weren't home. My car had broken down and Derek had come to assist me. So we weren't home yet when he came over. Well, when he saw that Royce was there and it was just Royce and my son Laurel, he grabbed my son Royce by the neck.
Well, you weren't home, so you don't know what happened.
No, I'm just going off of what the witnesses told me.
I will hear it from you. Your mother is telling me about an incident when Mr. Ryan came to your house. Do you remember that incident?
Yes.
Your parents weren't home?
No.
Tell me what happened.
Royce had came in. He told me how Rick said you wish you had a jet ski like mine or whatever.
You mean Mr. Ryan?
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan said, you wish you had a jet ski like mine, and then Royce came into the house.
Yeah.
Royce, when Mr. Ryan said that to you, did you say anything to him? Nothing? Didn't call him a name or anything?
I just looked at him like, in shock.
Go ahead.
5 minutes later after he came in, all of a sudden you hear a loud bang on the door. I'm thinking it's him and his friend playing. I told them to stop. A couple minutes later, you hear it again. So I was in there washing dishes and I stopped from what I was doing. And it was Frederick with his hands on my brother.
Mr. Ryan?
Mr. Ryan. He had his hands on my brother's neck, throwing him into the door. I came out, I pushed him out. I told him,
put your hand down, sir.
He was in the house. I pushed him out and I told him, why are you on the property? He looked at me and laughed. And so I pushed him out of the house again and told him, you need to get off my property. And then he tried to grab me. He had me like this I had him like this, and I told him, you're not going to do like you just did my brother. You need to get off my property.
And he left?
My 7-year-old sister had called the police, and he heard that, and he left.
Did the police respond?
Yes.
You have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
Judge Judy?
I didn't ask you anything yet, Mr. Ryan. Well, Royce, you left something out of your statement to me. You told the police that day that when Mr. Ryan asked you if you'd like to have a jet ski, and you thought he was teasing you, right? Right? You flipped him off. That's what you told the police. Right? Answer me.
Yes.
Now, is that true?
Yes.
Well, don't leave anything out when I ask you a question, young man. This is a court. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm going to tell the state of California that they better look very carefully into whether or not you should have him in your house with all your children, madam. Something's not right with him.
I don't think this is fair.
I don't give a rat's behind what you think.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charlotte Alston says neighbor Rick Ryan assaulted her 9-year-old son. She claims Rick has harassed her family ever since.
Now let's proceed, Mr. Ryan.
Okay.
You've been having a lot of trouble with this young man because you say that there has been bad language coming out.
A lot of it.
Okay.
I got tired of it.
Fine. So you got tired of it. And I want you to tell me what happened on October 18th.
I was going to the store, I believe, or I was just coming home. I'm not sure exactly which. And he's out in the street, cussing and swearing, foul language, give me the finger and all this.
That's not true, what you just told me. That's not true, because it's not what you told the police. You told the police this all emanated from the fact that he was calling your daughter names.
No, it had nothing to do with my daughter that day.
Really?
My daughter was not home.
Statement by Frederick Ryans, that's you. Is that correct?
Yes.
I was in the house when my daughter came inside and told me Royce was calling her names. That's the statement you gave to the police.
Okay.
Now you remember, sir?
That's possible. There's been so many instances.
Listen to me carefully, sir.
Okay.
Then you say I don't remember. You don't lie. Do you understand?
I didn't really think
Good.
that's what it was.
It's a lie.
Okay.
Fine. So now let's get to where we're going. So your daughter came in and told you that this young man was calling her names. What did you do?
I went over to the house to talk to the parents.
How did you get there?
With my van.
How far do you live?
Right across the street.
Then you got in your van.
I was going somewhere, so.
You're a liar.
No.
Oh, yes, you are, sir. You got in the van for the purpose of intimidating. I have statements from witnesses, from your neighbors. Listen to me, sir. On your best day, you are not as smart and as clever as I am on my worst day. Do you understand that, Mr. Ryan?
Sure.
If you don't remember something, say, I don't remember. I'm going to read you another statement. You told the police, I followed him, and when I got to the front door, his older brother was there. You didn't tell the police that you were going out and getting into your van. You just stopped by the house. You said, I followed him.
Yeah, I pulled up to the house right there and went up to the front door to talk to the parents.
I watched Rick pull up in his van and chase Royce into the house.
That's not true.
Well, that's from an independent witness, sir.
Well,
that's from an independent witness who was spoken to by the police. Okay, so you get to the house, and he tells you to leave, and you don't leave. You put your hands on him.
Nope.
Did you leave?
I asked to speak
to his parents. He said his parents weren't home. Did you leave?
He showed me.
Did you leave?
After he pushed me and told me to get off the property, I pushed him back.
Let's move to the next incident, please.
Okay, right after that on 10/29, again, Mr. Ryan approached my child. My child was outside on his way to football practice. He drove up on the sidewalk and deliberately tried to run my son over.
Go ahead, I'll hear you, Mr. Ryan.
He was on my sidewalk, and that's where I park.
He was on your sidewalk, and that's where you park. Is that your answer?
That's exactly where I park, yes.
So the answer is, Mr. Ryan, you did in fact see him on the 29th.
Yeah, yes.
And he was on the sidewalk, but you park on the sidewalk.
I don't park. It's not on the sidewalk, but it's right on the curb there. He was there in the parking spot when I pulled up.
So you pulled up and he got out of the way?
Yes.
I'm going to tell the state of California that they better look very carefully into whether or not you should have him in your house with all your children, madam. There's something not right with him. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I've been in this business a long time. Something's not right with him. He's picking on a kid. Put your hand down. You're supposed to be the adult.
Well, I don't think this is fair.
I don't give a rat's behind what you think, Mr. Ryan. I came into this case as a blank slate.
Right.
I said to myself, I can't believe he is a man, he must love children, he has
I do.
foster children, and yet I'm listening to a series of
Lies.
provocative acts by an adult against children. One where you actually put your hands on him.
That's not true.
Oh, yes it is. You
No.
actually put your hands on him.
If I put my hands on him and slammed him up against the door, ma'am, I would, if it was my child, I would take them to the hospital. Excuse me.
I want to tell you something. I find that you put your hands on him.
No, I have not.
Oh, I find that
I
he
would
puts
never
his
do
hands
that.
on you to get you out of his house. But you put your hands on him.
Never in the house.
That's three children that you either touched or tried to hurt or tried to scare in 10 minutes. Now, is that the kind of person that I think should be taking care of children? That the state should entrust children to? The answer, madam, is no. I now want to hear about your allegation of vandalism against Mr. Ryan.
Okay, November 10th. My daughter and my younger son were outside playing, and I guess she was 6 years old at the time. Went across the street and doorbell ditched his house.
What does that mean?
She went across the street and rang his doorbell and ran back across the street.
Not smart.
She was
You're
only
6-year-old.
She's 6.
Not smart.
And when he came out and saw her running, he called her Mr. Smith. When Royce came in and told his dad what had just occurred, Derek went over there to talk to find out what had happened. When Derek went over there, he immediately said, if you don't get off my property, I'm going to shoot your house up. At that time...
Well, just a minute. Were you there?
Yes, I was.
Did you hear it?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear it?
I heard it. I was right there in the garage.
Okay.
After that, Derek said, I need to know why you just called my daughter out of her name. Why would you talk to my 6-year-old daughter in that tone of manner? At that point, his wife comes to the door yelling, if you don't get off my property, we're going to do something to you. So she goes back into the house as if she's going to get a gun. I go over, I grab my fiance.
Well, she went back into the house.
She went back into the house like she was going to go get something.
Call the police.
When I saw that, I deliberately ran over and grabbed my fiance and said, let's get out of here. These people are crazy.
Okay, stop. What was the vandalism?
The vandalism was he shot through our window November 21st.
Did anybody see him do it?
My son did. He didn't actually see him. He heard his door open.
When he opens his door, it squeaks a lot. And just before my window was shot, because I was in my room at the time when it was shot through, the door squeaked open. When it was shot afterwards, his door squeaked again, and it sounded like it shut.
That's not very strong circumstantial evidence. Some, considering the history, but it's not sufficient enough for me to find an act of vandalism on Mr. Ryan's part. Okay. I'd like to hear the first act of alleged harassment against you, Mr. Ryan.
On the 30th of December, he was cussing and yelling out the window. Then
Who was cussing and yelling out the window?
Royce.
Royce, the little one.
Yes. Then 2 days later, on the 1st, my oldest daughter, who's not here, who's 17 and a half, went to Placerville with her boyfriend, and she was just coming home. And right after that, she came in the house and she saw him going along my wife's car, scraping it.
Where's your daughter?
She didn't come.
Well, then I'm not interested in what you have to tell me, because if you didn't see it and she's not here to tell me about it, it never happened. Do you
I
understand?
saw them run across the street.
Excuse me?
She saw them run across the street.
Step up.
They were in the yard.
Step up.
and ran.
No.
Hold on.
They were the
Okay,
little
what
one-
date did this happen?
January 1st.
January 1st.
Okay, tell me what you saw.
I saw the little one by the side of the car, and when he realized it was me, he ran across the street.
So you didn't see him do anything? Is
well,
that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you what you should have done, Mr. Ryan. When one of your children broke his new scooter, you should have been the right kind of neighbors and gone over to the Smith Alstons and said to them, we're sorry my son did that. I'm going to replace it, because that's what you're supposed to do. You should have gone over there. I'm not excusing bad behavior. Yours. You understand? I think that you have a fresh mouth. Royce, does your mom know you have a fresh mouth?
Yes.
He does, you know.
Yes.
You know, he looks like a sweet little angel, but, you know, I know that he can be a nasty little kid. Not necessarily his brother, who looks like a relatively mild guy. But this one's a brat.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I heard not one incident, Mr. Ryan, or Mrs. Ryan, where either Miss Alston or Mr. Smith acted inappropriately with your children. There may have been instances with their children acting inappropriately with your children, or acting inappropriately towards you, calling you names, this little fresh mouth over here. But I haven't heard one incident where these two people acted inappropriately with you or your minor children, because that's what caused them to sell their house, the fact that adults who were supposed to know better were intimidating their children. That they can't tolerate, then they have to move. And for that, you have to pay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Defendants get nothing on their counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
We tried to get a restraining order.
Basically, I have tried to talk with him.
We argued for an hour and a half. There's nothing but constant lies.
Verbally, but to no avail.
And it's ridiculous.
This man has severe problems. He needs help.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kincaid versus Wallace Brown. Step forward.
Giovanna Kincaid is suing her landlord, Yolanda Wallace, and her son's girlfriend, Taylor Brown, for vet bills after Yolanda's boxer attacked her Maltese.
Miss Kincaid, that's a really cute little puppy.
Thank you.
Really cute. And okay.
Okay, yes. She's
Good.
doing very well, thank you.
It is your claim that the defendant's dog bit your dog, and you had vet bills that were well over $3,000, and you
Yes,
believe
Your Honor.
that she should be responsible for those vet bills. Who's the owner of the dog?
Ryan.
Okay. You're Miss
Wallace?
You were walking the dog.
Yes.
Are you related to each other?
I'm her son's girlfriend.
And you were walking the dog that day, so you weren't there.
No.
Why don't you sit down? If I need you, I'll call you.
Okay.
Were you walking your dog?
No, I wasn't, Your
Who
Honor.
was?
John Speckman was walking my dog.
Why don't you sit down?
Okay.
What's your last name, sir?
Speckman.
Mr. Speckman, why don't you turn the puppy over to her mother? You can stand up here, Mr. Speckman. This isn't the only dog you were walking. The plaintiff has two dogs.
That's correct.
So you were walking both dogs, and they're two small dogs.
Yes.
Had you walked them before?
Oh, yes.
On what date did this incident occur?
February 8th, around 5 p.m.
And these are two small dogs. Sometimes they have hearts like lions, though.
Yes.
That's a little Maltese?
Yes.
Had those years and years ago. They're sweet dogs, but they're yappers.
Yes.
I remember those yaps.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did your two little dogs bark at the bigger dog?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's natural.
I know Maltese.
Yeah.
Fearless.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Speckman says he was walking his girlfriend's dogs when a boxer being walked by 20-year-old Taylor Brown attacked them.
Okay. And it is your claim that in an unprovoked attack, Miss Wallace's dog that was being walked by Miss Brown hit your puppy.
Yes,
or your
that's
girlfriend's
correct.
Puppy. Tell me what happened.
Well, actually, it was walking the dogs along the boardwalk, came back, went towards a garbage can on the corner to dump some little duty stuff, and then had passed another neighbor's dog, which is a bigger dog, too. There was no issue. I continued then to turn around.
When you passed the neighbor's
Yeah.
dog, the other neighbor's dog,
Right.
there was no issue. I want you to think very carefully. Did your two little dogs bark at the bigger dog?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's natural.
I know Maltese.
Yeah.
Fearless. Okay, but you kept going.
Yes.
It's like I was there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There are good things and bad things about getting old.
Okay.
This is one of the good things. So, now you passed one neighbor's dog and no incident.
None.
The one neighbor's dog didn't respond, the bigger dog didn't respond to either one of your two yappers.
None at all.
Great. What's next?
Well, I actually then turned back around from that garbage can, started walking towards where we live, which is on the landlord's property. I did pass their sidewalk. Now, I'm on the main walk. Dogs are both on my right-hand side.
And your dogs are leashed?
Both are leashed, and I have
Just a second.
double leash.
Careful, careful, careful. Careful, careful, careful. Are those the leads that you were walking with on February 8th?
Yes.
Not retractable ones?
No.
Okay, so pick up and let me see how much slack you had for each dog. I don't think so. There. Those the leashes?
That's the 2 leashes, both
I'm
dogs.
asking you, Miss Brown.
I don't remember what leashes they were.
Okay, go ahead.
So I continued to walk, and as I passed their sidewalk to entryway for the landlords, I saw a young lady here with the bigger dog on the stoops. Now, my 2 dogs are barking and yapping, and I'm still walking as I'm going past. That dog was pulling her, as I saw it, that fast and leaped towards the dog, which grabbed sideways, and JoJo happened to be the outside dog.
So she was sitting, her dog was leashed,
Yes.
and as you were passing, your dogs were yapping,
Yes.
and the dog lunged at your dog
Correct.
and bit your
That's
dog.
right. On the side. So sideways.
That's not true.
And incurred vet bills. That's what the vet bills are for.
Right.
Fortunately, the dog's fine. You want to tell me what your version of the events, if they're any different?
Yes. I went out on that day, same time, late afternoon, and I went across the street as we usually do. And she went to the bathroom, and we walked around the block. And then I was still on the other side of the street of our house. And I noticed John and his 2 dogs walking towards the front. And I waited until he left, and then I crossed the street when I could no longer see him. And I was on the first steps of our entryway, and with my dog tightly leashed next to me. And then I saw him turn around, and then I noticed my dog upset. And then he kept walking, and he asked me if she was friendly, and I said no. I said no because...
No, look at me. Don't look down.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your 2 dogs have passed another dog, and not every dog is going to be the same. Some are friendly, some are not. So if your dogs are doing the yappy, you pick them up and you hold them and move on.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Speckman says he was walking his girlfriend's dogs when a boxer being walked by 20-year-old Taylor Brown attacked them.
Go ahead.
My dog was tightly wrapped next to me, next to my hip.
Well, that's pretty much what he said. I mean,
Yeah.
slightly different. He said you were holding the dog was close to you, and lunged forward.
My dog never lunged.
Well, it did, because he actually bit the dog.
No, his dogs were lunging towards my dog.
Whatever, doesn't matter. His dog got bit. Now, let's say I believe everything you say.
Okay.
You have no case against them. They're not insurers of their dog. The dog was leashed, was within her control. Your dog was leashed, allegedly, and I'm not so sure about those leads on a small dog, within your control. Your dogs were barking, and I know how they bark at the dogs. They bark and they sort of go up to them. They go towards each other. They're not static. They don't stand by your side and bark. I know. I've had them. I still have them. Different ones, but the same little dogs that think that they're lions. She's not an insurer of the safety. If you saw a big dog, and you said she was holding it tight to her side.
Yeah, I was holding it tight to my side.
No, I don't believe you were holding your dogs tight to your side. Sir, I don't believe that. I believe that
I've had German
you know
Shepherds,
what
ma'am.
you know what they do.
I have German Shepherds, and I've controlled German Shepherds, which also take 2 hands. This young lady had 2 hands to try to hold on to that dog, and that dog was pulling her into those
Then you
dogs.
should have picked up your dogs.
That happened that fast.
Pick them up. If you saw a dog and you had some question about it, and you already knew that your 2 dogs had passed another dog and were yapping, doing the yapping thing, not every dog is going to be the same. Some are friendly, some are not. So if your dogs are doing the yappy, you pick them up and you hold them and move on. And if they were yapping at her bigger dog, and the dog was leashed, she's not responsible for the altercation. That's not true. She's not an absolute insurer for her dog. You can't be an absolute insurer for your dog, as long as you're doing the right thing. She was doing the right thing.
No, she wasn't.
Yes,
She
yes, she
also,
was.
by the way, she mentioned something about trying to warn me.
No.
never heard
I don't
anyone-
believe that. I'm saying I believe
Done.
everything you told me.
I did.
I'm saying I believe everything that you told me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. She's not responsible.
The leash
Goodbye.
is... No, Your Honor, please. May I show my evidence?
You have no evidence.
Yes, I do.
You have no evidence.
I have photographic evidence.
Just a second. I believe everything he told me. Listen to me. I believe, Miss Kincaid, everything your witness told me. I believe it. Quiet. Listening ears. You don't have to show me any. I believe him. I believe him.
He said he was in control of the dog.
I believe.
He said she was
I
not
believe
in
everything that. No. His being in control is a legal conclusion. I believe the facts, as he indicated to me, that both dogs were leashed. He had an opportunity on 2 occasions to pass 2 large dogs with 2 yappers, and he knows that they're yappers, and he knows that some dogs are friendly and some big dogs are not. So if he's walking the dogs, so they've already concluded doing the business that they were out there to do, he should have had listen, stop shaking your head.
I disagree. I'm sorry.
I don't care whether you disagree. To pick them up and keep them safe. That's what you would do with this child. Goodbye.
Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I ran over something. I didn't even hit his car.
You have somebody who witnessed it?
Yes, I do.
This miraculous new witness popped up. Perjury is not a nice thing, sir.
Next Judge Judy.
He was in full control of the dogs. The defendant was not in control of her dog.
That's not true at all. She was under my control, by my hip.
It happened so fast, it was very upsetting. I grabbed both dogs. I had one dog in the air while this one was in the other dog's mouth.
His dog's lunging at my dog, and then my dog just grabbed it.
JoJo's doing excellent, but my bank account is a lot smaller because of this vet bill.
I'm so glad JoJo's okay.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stein versus Green. Step forward.
Daniel Stein is suing his girlfriend's ex-husband, Jeffrey Green, for attorney fees and lost wages after Jeffrey filed a false restraining order.
Mr. Stein, let me see if I understand it. You're dating his former wife.
Correct.
And it is your claim that the defendant filed an application for a restraining order against you. There was a hearing. The case is subsequently gone. It's dismissed.
Correct.
And it is your claim that Mr. Green had no basis to file that application for restraining order against you, which required you to retain counsel.
Correct.
And you won't be compensated for that. Mr. Green says that you actually did attempt to run him down 2 or 3 times with your car, and therefore he had every right to file a restraining order against you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I sat in family court for 25 years. I know you people like the back of my hand. Yes, I know what you do. And I know that you couldn't even control yourself, Mr. Green, in front of your 7-year-old.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Daniel Stein claims his girlfriend's ex-husband, Jeffrey Green, filed a false restraining order against him. Jeffrey says Daniel left him a threatening voicemail.
Now, on what date did Mr. Stein attempt to run you down?
March 18th of this past year, Your Honor.
Where?
About a block and a half from the Sherman Oaks Elementary Charter School, where I was going that night for his open school night.
And you were going to open school night because?
Because that's where my son was attending school, my 7-year-old.
And were you at open school night as well?
I was, Your Honor.
Why?
Why? Because I live in the same residence as their son does. So I'm like his Uncle D, and I go to school events as well.
Well, did you know that his father was going to be there?
Yes, we've never had any kind of a problem or altercation before. We did not have one at this particular evening.
So there's never been any animus between you and Mr. Green?
Not that I'm aware of, ma'am.
Mr. Green?
Obviously not correct, Your Honor. On March 14th, the Friday before, my ex-wife, violating the court order, had showed up at my house.
Okay, so there was a court order that your former wife not come to your home?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And that order was issued when and why?
As part of our divorce settlement in January of 2013, and reaffirmed by the judge telling us we must use our family wizard to communicate, and that's all.
Okay, because there's unfortunately bad feeling between the two of you?
Yes, Your Honor, obviously.
And she came to your house on March 14th for what reason?
She decided it would be a nice idea for my 7-year-old to have a cell phone, and decided she had to give it to him right then and there.
Well, you know, I'm going to put my own 2 cents in that because I assume that your son was visiting with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I assume that his mother tried to call him at your residence.
No, Your Honor. She's on a cell phone.
I guarantee you that his mother tried to call him at your residence, and with caller ID, you look and see who it is. And so she marched herself over there to give the 7-year-old a phone so that she would have access to him. That's what happened.
Yes.
Without question, Mr. Green, that's what happened. The two of you, you're supposed to love the 7-year-old more than you can't stand each other, but that's clearly why she came over to your house. So what happened when she came over on March 14th with the cell phone?
She gave it to my son.
Fine. And?
And that was it. I told her she shouldn't have been there. It was my time, and she gave him the cell phone.
Fine. So what was the problem with that? So that doesn't create any animus with Mr. Stein?
No, Your Honor. But subsequently, at 9 o'clock that night, I received 7 phone calls from Mr. Stein, including 1 threatening voicemail.
I'd like to hear it.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Can I add something?
Nope.
Thank you.
Call me back, you piece of vomit. It's Dan, 310. You ever talk to Lisa that way in front of Luke again? I will have the court come down on you, and they will circumcise you again. All right, you take the phone, you threaten Luke that you're going to take the phone out of his battery? You and I will definitely be talking about that. I look forward to seeing you. I hope it's really soon. You can call me anytime.
Got it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Daniel Stein claims his girlfriend's ex-husband, Jeffrey Green, filed a false restraining order against him. Jeffrey says Daniel left him a threatening voicemail.
Now, so when you say that you had enjoyed a cordial relationship with Mr. Green, Mr. Stein, prior to March 18th, that was not a cordial phone call.
It was not.
Correct. Now.
And there was more to the...
I don't care.
Okay.
I asked you a question. You said that you had always had a cordial relationship with him until March 18th. Clearly, that was not the case. Clearly, when your girlfriend came home, she said that she had had a kerfuffle with her ex-husband. She told you what he said because he was acting like a juvenile, in my judgment. Because, I mean, I got the scenario. I sat in family court for 25 years. I know you people like the back of my hand. I know you.
Yes,
I know what you do. And I know that you couldn't even control yourself, Mr. Green, in front of your 7-year-old. Couldn't control yourself.
Your Honor, that was...
I'm not speaking to you.
Okay.
You, listen to me. You have nothing to do with that family. You're not a stepfather. You're not a relative. You're a live-in boyfriend. That's who you are. You want to play Prince Charming and Sir Galahad and get on the phone and threaten him? That's your problem. Since you gave me misinformation once, I'm going to look skeptically about the other things that you tell me. Him, he doesn't get it at all because how old are you, sir?
67, Your Honor.
67. You were too old to have a 7-year-old because somebody with more noodles would say, listen, God blessed me with allowing me to have a 7-year-old child at 67 years old, and I'm not going to make his life miserable by having any kind of kerfuffle in his presence with his mother, who he also loves. So, is this your only child?
No, Your Honor.
You have other children? How old are they?
34 and 38.
Right. That was the right time to have children, Mr. Green. Not when you're 60. And if you want to be a good father, you will figure out how to make peace with his mother. That's all. Now, you want to tell me, sir, anything else about what happened on March 18th before I hear it from Mr. Green? You go to the kid's school. You're not a parent. You're not a step-parent. You intrude in open school night. Is the child there or not there?
The child was there.
Was there. So the child now has to explain to everybody who in the hell you are.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, so now you go to school and you want to tell me that you left open school night because I read your papers and everything was fine and you went home.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Green, you want to tell me your version of what happened on March 18th?
Yes, Your Honor. I parked my car to go to open school night. I attempted to open the door to my car, and there was Mr. Stein with his car in my door yelling, "I'm going to up."
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I have a police
I'd like to take a look at it. No, don't give me a little card.
That's all they have, Your Honor. These are the incident reports. That's all the cops issue nowadays.
Doesn't do me any good. Now, did you, Mr. Green, notify the police when you received that threatening phone call?
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date?
March 14th.
Okay. Now, which one of you or your girlfriend, called in a report of child abuse?
My girlfriend.
You think I'm going to help you, Mr. Stein? It's not happening, sir. That threat alone that you made to him on his phone is enough, as far as I'm concerned, for a protective order. Someone threatens to circumcise a 67-year-old man. That's sufficient basis for...
I didn't threaten him that I would circumcise.
Oh, just a second.
I said that I would go back to the courts and have the courts take a look because his little 7-year-old son was calling from the closet.
They're going to cut somebody off. They pay me a lot of money. It's not going to be me.
Correct.
I don't even have to make a determination whether there was an additional incident on the 18th, although I believe that there probably was. Your case is dismissed. If you can't learn to get along at 67, you will have made one screwed up little boy. And you only have you and your ex-wife to thank for that. That's all.
Thank you.
Out.
Thank you.
If you're excused, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Robert showed up at my work screaming and yelling, and he took the plates off it, so I couldn't drive it home, and he left. What do you want to know?
These eyes know everything.
Next Judge Judy.
There was no incident. It's a complete fabrication.
She figured it out. He made it all up.
He's not under my skin. I'm under his skin.
He's an angry man, and I'm very sorry that he's angry because my son's in the middle of this.
It's all up to him. I just hope him well, and I hope he gets the medical attention that he needs.
Just my 7-year-old son. He's adorable, growing up, and we should make his life easier, not harder.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Johnson. Step forward.
25-year-old Elizabeth Lewis is suing her ex-boyfriend, David Johnson, for the return of a 72 Volkswagen Super Beetle, or the money she put into it.
Miss Lewis, you and Mr. Johnson were a couple for quite some time. During the time that you were a couple, Mr. Johnson purchased an old Volkswagen Bug. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And he bought the car. He actually, I think, traded in your Mustang for the car. Is that what you did?
Yes, ma'am.
But he purchased the car because it was your passion to have that particular car and to restore it in your colors.
Yes.
Pink and black. Anyway, there was a lot of time and probably money spent by both of you in restoring the car. I assume that you have some bills that you have to show me of money you spent to restore the car.
Yes.
You traded in your car for the car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're no longer a couple. And who gets the car? That's really the reason that we're here, right?
Correct.
Mr. Johnson, you currently have the car because it's titled in your name.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you actually purchased it. You didn't purchase the car.
Yes.
Then what we have to do is discuss whether there is any equity here that I can do to make it fair. How much money did you invest in the car?
Total, probably almost $9,000.
Show me.
Okay, I don't have all the receipts. We did pay most of it with cash.
Listen to me. I'm only interested in what you can prove.
Okay.
What receipts do you have? And you were living together when this was happening?
We were living together. The reason I don't have lots of the receipts is because I left in a hurry.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care why you don't have receipts. The bottom line is that you don't have receipts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
A lot of the money that was put in her bank account, I was the one that put the cash in her bank account.
Show me.
It's not my bank account.
Show me.
I didn't have a bank account at the
Well,
time.
then, if you didn't have a bank account, then I guess you can't show me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth Lewis says ex-boyfriend David Johnson owes for the return of a 72 Volkswagen Super Beetle. David is countersuing for an unpaid loan and the value of a 65 Mustang.
Okay. When you quit working and went back to school, Miss Lewis was working.
Yes.
So she was paying the bills.
No, she wasn't.
Well, who was paying the bills if you weren't working?
I had money saved up.
How much?
Several thousands of dollars.
Show me.
I don't have a way to show you.
All right. I want you to tell me, Miss Lewis, add up the receipts that you have.
Okay.
And tell me what they total. While she's doing that, Mr. Johnson, what year car is this?
It's a 72 Super Beetle.
And how much do you think it's worth now?
Now, because it's not finished, it's in pieces. Not as much as it could be. I would say probably maybe $9,000. That's what we insured it for, was $9,000.
So it's not running yet?
It's running, but it's just in pieces. It's not.
What does that mean? How could it be running if it's in pieces?
Well, because the car will start and run. Is it drivable? No. Running and driving is two different things.
What pieces are missing?
The windshields aren't in the bug. The wiring's not complete in the bug. There's no lights on the bug. The interior is not intact in the bug. There's only one seat, and it's just sitting in there. It's not bolted down.
Miss Lewis, when you and Mr. Johnson separated, is that the condition of the car?
Yes, I was still in the midst of remodeling it.
Well, who's supposed to finish that?
I was planning on it. He told me that as soon as I gave him the rest of the money, because I was willing to pay him for the car, what he paid for his Mustang. He told me that I could have it, and I was going to take it to a garage, which I was actually paying for, and restore it myself.
Okay. Other than the time that you spent on the car, how much do you have in receipts for parts that you put into the car?
What I have for receipts, I mean, I have a...
That's the only thing I'm interested in.
I have about $775.
Show me. And what is your figure, Miss Lewis?
I erased it on accident, sorry.
What year Mustang did you trade in?
65.
We don't have books that go back that far. You estimate the value of that car at $1,800.
Yes, ma'am.
That's your estimate.
Yes.
And you didn't put any money into the car, is that right?
Yes.
And you acknowledge that she paid for the majority of the restoration?
The majority of it, yes.
Okay. Now I'd like to see the title.
My calculator, every time I get to a certain amount of numbers, it just stops calculating.
How much did you get to before it stopped calculating?
It was about 2,000. Here, I have all the photos of...
Shh, stop talking. I can't understand
Sorry.
you. Wait a second. Where's the title itself?
It's in Florida.
Why didn't you bring it?
I didn't want to lose it.
Didn't want to lose the title?
I didn't want to misplace it.
To her or to me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, now, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to try to make you as whole as I possibly can. Let us assume I accept your figure of $1,800 for a 1965 Mustang. And you have a bill for $774 for paint. It is clear to me that this car was purchased for her. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to draft an order that the Department of Motor Vehicles is going to transfer the title to the car to her. So within 5 days, you have to transfer the title to the car to her. On your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $2,574. That check will be withheld until the title is signed to her. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
I do. I actually have the bank statement showing that I paid for the paint for the $774.
I'd like to see that.
Right here, it's from Napa for $774.89.
I'd like to see it, please. She's absolutely right. Okay, I'm deleting the $774. That means $1,800. Hands down, $1,800. So that's the value of your Mustang, which was your counterclaim.
Mm-hmm.
The title to the bug is to be transferred to you. If he doesn't do it within 5 days, he doesn't get his money, and I still notify the Motor Vehicles Department that they are to obliterate his name from the title and replace it with yours. Do we understand the order?
Yes, but the money that was put in her bank account, I was the one that put the cash in her bank account too.
Show me.
It's not my bank account.
Show me.
I didn't have a bank account at the
Well,
time.
then, if you didn't have a bank account, then I guess you can't show me. That's my order. Goodbye.
These are excused when they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You said, I'm going to prepay the first 6 months' rent. Well, it all didn't work out.
I was told that I was not welcome to stay there.
That's what parents do when they put out an 18-year-old and say, you're on your own.
Judge Judy.
We were in love at the time and trying to be nice, and I guess it bit me in the butt then.
I'm just thrilled that she actually saw that I could have my dream car back, and I can't wait to drive it.
She tells me that she'd like me to leave her apartment, and I go back by there the next day, and there's men's shoes and men's socks outside the front door.
There definitely was not another man there.
Really, she got a bunch of money and started let it get to her head.
A business and relationships do not work out. They need to be separate.
That she wasn't worth it.
I am stoked that I can get my car. I'm just kind of disappointed that he dissed my name, but it's okay.
Lisa Dunn is suing her former employee, Daryl Safour, and his fiancée, Carrie Dale, for stealing property from her sober living facility and an assault.
Order. All rise.
It's case number 375 on the calendar in the matter of Dunn versus Safour Dale.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
I don't know what all these witnesses are here for. It's really sort of a simple case. Miss Dunn, you are the owner of what you describe as a sober living facility. At some point, you made an arrangement with both of the defendants to take over the running of your sober living facility. You wanted them to bring in new residents, and it didn't work out. And it is your claim that both of the defendants took property from the residents when they left that didn't belong to them, belonged to you.
That is correct.
And in addition, Miss Dale assaulted you.
That is correct.
Is that the whole case?
Yes, it is.
Yes. So I don't know what all these people are doing here. Maybe you'll explain it to me. When did they leave the facility?
They left the facility approximately September the 8th.
When did you leave the facility?
September 12th.
What property do you claim they took that belongs to you?
I have a list.
You mean you don't know it off the top of your head?
It's quite a bit. And because I don't live there, I can tell you off the top of my head, they took a weight set.
A weight set?
They took a...
Just a second.
Okay.
Let's go. Weight set. Did that belong to you?
That is correct, Your Honor. Everything in the house belonged to me.
No. I don't know if everything in the house belonged to you because you had tenants there.
Mm-hmm.
I read your complaint very carefully. You had other tenants there, a lot of them. That's what you say. Listen to me carefully. So whatever you claim is there, you can't say to me everything in the house belongs to me. I'm going to ask you very specific questions, Miss Dunn. Did you purchase, be careful, did you purchase the weight set?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
From whom and where?
I purchased it from Phil and Andy.
Did they ever live in the house?
They did not. There was a previous lease that was executed 5 years ago. And when they decided not to renew their lease, just as I sold them everything in the property, when they first took over the lease, when they released the lease and the property, everything that they left inside became mine.
Just a second. Show me your lease with a rider that says you've purchased personal property. That's all I want to see. You don't have it. Okay. What's next?
What's next is that the people lived there were guests.
Just a second.
So they came in.
Listen to me. I'm going to deal with property, then an assault. Weight set, what's next?
Weight set, mini stainless steel refrigerator.
Did you purchase that? Did you purchase that?
It was a part of me getting back my property. Everything in the property at that time became mine.
What else?
A flower pot she stole.
What else?
A napkin holder, various items like brooms, mops.
I don't do that.
TVs.
My parents didn't spend tens of thousands of dollars for law school for me to discuss a broom. I'm asking you what item?
I'm trying to do.
What item? I have a weight set. I have a weight set and I have a mini fridge. What else?
Microwave.
A microwave.
Antique napkin holder.
Forget it. Let's go.
Industrial dustpan, durable 25-foot water hose, replacement shower curtain. There's quite a bit here.
I have a mini refrigerator, a microwave, and a weight set. That's what I have here. No dustpan, no shower curtain. Okay. Now, Mr. Safour, I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Yes.
Did you take the weight set when you moved out?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
You tell me under what color of authority did you have to take that weight set?
The previous owner that was leasing the property, Andy, he said, Daryl, look, Miss Hines told me to tell him to come get their property.
Where is the weight set?
I have it.
You're going to return it to her. What's next?
Sure, that's it.
Shut up.
Your Honor.
Just a second. I have a case to decide. I have a weight set. Carefully. That's going back to her. She'll make arrangements to come and get it. Now, a microwave. Did you take a microwave?
No, Your Honor.
Did you take the microwave?
No, ma'am. I was at work.
Did you take a mini refrigerator?
No, ma'am.
That was a...
No, ma'am.
You did not?
No.
Now, they have your weight set that you're going to return. I want you to prove to me that they took the mini refrigerator and the microwave. Do you have witnesses who saw them take it?
Yes.
Did any of you see either of them take a microwave? Raise your hand. Did any of you see them take a mini refrigerator? Perfect. Stand up. So far, I'm loving this case. Tell me your name.
Harwood Hines.
Who took the mini refrigerator?
Daryl did.
You saw him?
I saw him put it in the U-Haul truck.
Great. I believe you. Now you can sit down. And you know why I know he's telling the truth? Because I could tell from your body English when I asked you the question. I could tell from your body English.
I took a refrigerator that was this tall. That was ours. Now, due to the fact...
That was yours.
Your Honor,
just a second. Show me where you purchased it.
Well, I don't have the receipt. It's an Emerson refrigerator. You know, half of the time, the kid is under the influence of marijuana, and I think possibly he has the size that confuses, Your Honor.
If he was under the influence, Mr. Safor,
yes,
he would have said he saw you take both, the microwave and the refrigerator. So I want to know, this is a mini fridge, according to you.
Correct.
They go brand new for $250. This one was not brand new. This one, according to you, was at least 5 years old, because that was when the old lease did that. So you could buy it at a garage sale, giving you every benefit of the doubt for $50. Now, so he's going to return your weight set and give you $50 for a new mini fridge. Period. Hand down, Miss Dunn. Now we're going to talk about this alleged assault. Nonsense. Go. When did it happen?
The assault happened, I don't remember exactly the date. I believe
well, if I were assaulted, I would remember exactly the date.
Well, it's been quite a while ago. I have the date here. If you give me the opportunity, I'm going to give you the police report where it states what date it is.
Go ahead. And when you're looking at those papers, please, you will kindly find for me the medical report of your injury.
I'll do that as well. I will surely do that, and I'll also provide to you the metal iron gate that she hit me with. That's also in here. Here's the metal gate. The police report is dated.
Can I see the police report, please? Sure. I can read just as well as she can.
Yeah.
I believe it was the 8th. It was the 9th. And here's evidence from the doctor's office of my injuries. And the fire department also came out to assist me in my injuries by applying ice to my swollen arm.
Okay. This happened, according to the date and time reported to the police, on the 9th of September.
That is correct, Your Honor.
You reported it to the police the next day, on the 10th of September.
That's not correct.
That's what it says.
Well,
that's what this says.
Well, it's
this is your evidence, madam. It says that you told them the date and time of the occurrence, 9/9/2014, date and time reported to the police, 9/10. That's what it says.
Okay, well, they didn't take the report at the scene. I don't remember
This is your evidence.
Okay.
This report says that you didn't go to any facility.
That is correct.
Because I don't know.
That's correct.
Wait just a second, because I don't even know what facility this is, because the top of it is cut off.
Okay.
You do see that, right?
No, I didn't see that.
Then we're going to show it to you.
But I can tell you where I went.
Just a second. Tell me is not helpful. You giving me evidence.
There's a telephone number
You're giving me the evidence. Do you understand what I'm saying to you now? You see it?
There's a telephone number on here that we can verify.
Don't give me a telephone number. Yeah. I said to you it doesn't name the facility that you went to.
But nevertheless, Your Honor, I did go and seek medical treatment.
Did you understand what I'm saying to you?
I did.
Good. Now I'm going to take it back.
And now I'm going to tell you why.
Just a second.
I went several days later.
I didn't ask you why yet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, you want to tell me your version of what happened?
Can I tell you like 10 minutes prior to the gate being closed?
Yes.
Or I'll give you the whole day.
No, I don't want the whole day. I don't even want 10 minutes. Now I'm going to give you 5 minutes.
And later today,
the insurance company is insuring the homeowner who took out the policy. What if you have 6 tenants? I think the insurance company is going to say, well, the place was burglarized. We're going to pay for everybody's property because we're nice people. They don't do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Dunn says her former employee, Daryl Safor, stole property from her sober living facility She also claims Daryl's fiancée, Carrie Dale, assaulted her.
Now, I'm telling you that you reported this alleged injury to the police a day after it happened, and a week later.
That's correct, Your Honor.
That's what it says.
That's
a
correct.
week. Just a second.
Absolutely.
And a week later, you went to blank, blank, blank facility.
Okay.
And reported swelling and tenderness. Now you can tell me exactly what happened on the 9th of September.
The night I was injured and battered with
the
a metal
9th
door.
of September. Just tell me what happened.
The police report was taken.
Just tell
at
me.
The scene.
I'm going to dismiss your case for assault totally unless you follow my directions. I said, tell me what happened on the 9th of September.
I was leaving the property, so as I was coming out, she stormed through the patio.
Miss Dale.
Correct. And slammed a metal gate, the one you have, on my arm. After that, I immediately called the police. The police called the fire department. They came out. They applied ice to my injuries, and my son, Harwood, was also at the scene. He saw the police.
Don't tell me what he saw.
Okay.
So that's what you say happened, that she came out, you were on your way out, so now you passed the door, and she slammed the door
As
on
hard
you,
as she
on your
could.
elbow.
That's correct.
Okay. Now you want to tell me your version of what happened.
Can I tell you like 10 minutes prior to the gate being closed?
Yes.
Or I'll give you the whole day.
No, I don't want the whole day. I don't even want 10 minutes. Now I'm going to give you 5 minutes.
It's my story to tell.
What?
The day before there was plumbing issues. There was in the driveway.
You're not paying attention to me.
You accidentally closed it. I'm just telling you what's happening.
If something happened that was relevant 10 minutes before this incident with her elbow,
She was in the patio area. She had fired us. She was telling the clients we are no longer the managers.
Okay.
She strutted off. So I went behind her with the gate to close the gate. She backed up into the gate and hit it herself. The police didn't even want to make a report because they knew it was an accident.
Okay, be prepared, everyone. Get ready for my ruling. I'm not asking you another question. I'm saying get ready for my ruling. Mr. Safort, within 5 days, the plaintiff is going to make arrangements to retrieve the weight set that you took from the premises. I am entering a judgment on her behalf for $500. $50 is for the refrigerator. The other $450 is because you slammed the gate on her elbow, which caused her a twang in her elbow. We are now done here. Goodbye. Have a lovely day. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Wow, this is crazy.
I am out of the sober living business.
That's all that matters. As long as we stay clean and sober.
I'm good now that I have my property back. Everything is intact, and I'm good to go.
Cook is suing esthetician Felicia Gallegos for damages resulting from bad eyelash extensions.
Order. All rise. It's case number 407 on the calendar in the matter of Cook versus Gallegos.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Cook, the defendant applied false eyelashes for you. You were dissatisfied with the work.
Yes.
And you want money.
Yes.
But you didn't pay for the work.
I did pay for it.
Defendant says she never received any payment from you.
Okay. Well, I have evidence on my phone. I have evidence on my bank
How
statements.
did you pay her?
I paid her with cash, and then I did pay her.
No, just a second. For the extensions, I'm not talking about for the mascara that you bought.
Okay.
I'm talking about for the extensions themselves, because she says that you're a scam artist because you paid her through some vehicle. What kind of vehicle was that?
It's like a Groupon is how you're supposed to buy the voucher.
I don't know how that works.
I asked her, do you want me to pay on the deal or do you want me to pay you in cash? And she said it either way. So
I just want to see that you paid her.
Okay.
Okay.
I can show you here because it didn't show up on the email.
Listen to me, Ms. Cook. That's very easy to ascertain. Do you have a bank statement? Is that what you
I have
want?
a bank statement that I took out money and then the $32 for the mascara.
The $32 for the mascara, she says that you paid her $32 for the mascara. I want to see proof that you paid her for the lashes. How much were the lashes?
They were supposed to be $99, ma'am.
Okay, so all I need from you is proof that you actually paid her the $100 for the lashes.
Well, it says an agreement that I paid her, and then I went back to her. She's compliant with everything on my text messages that I had paid her the money, so I have proof on here.
Find me the place where she says, not that you paid her, that she got the money. Did you ever get the money?
I have a receipt. I got the money for the mascara.
No.
I do have that receipt, but no, ma'am. I never received any money for the eyelash extensions.
How was she supposed to pay you for it? With a Groupon?
Yes, it's KSL, so it's just like Groupon. You go online and you purchase a voucher, and then you bring the voucher at the time of service.
And she never did that?
No, she had asked me if she could pay in cash or go on KSL. I told her either which way. She had told me as we were speaking and when she had came in and we had done the actual process that she had bought it via KSL. So to my understanding, she was buying the voucher off of KSL.
And that you would be reimbursed by KSL?
Yes, ma'am. A couple weeks after the service.
So that what I need for you to show me is proof that you bought it via KSL for the lashes. Bird, do you know what they're talking about? You buy a voucher?
I can't understand it, but I don't use it.
But if you bought a voucher for which you're paying the service,
Right.
and it's all done over the internet,
Right.
I assume. I assume you get some sort of a receipt
Yeah.
that you have purchased a particular voucher for a particular service, or
Right. They either send you the voucher via online, and
Right.
then you take it in and you show her the voucher, and I guess there's numbers
credit
that
her
they credit
account.
her account, and
Right.
she signed up with them, so she, so she would know if
whether or not the money came in. So
Right.
what you have to do, Ms. Cook, is show me where you bought this coupon.
Okay, if you just want to look right, the blue text message right there, if she can read that. We were going to do a deal. When I first texted her, I asked her, I've never gotten these glasses before.
I don't want your whole story. I just want to see proof of payment because she's got a counterclaim. She said you never paid her.
Okay, she didn't give me a receipt, so.
Would you please show me here? I'm not reading this whole conversation. I just want you to show me that she acknowledges she got money from you for doing it, or show me via your credit card, via some mechanism on your internet that you paid for the lashes.
I didn't get a receipt, but I did go back to her, and she was perfectly fine with me going back with her without, I don't see why she would be so happy and inclined for me to go back to get them fixed if I never paid in the first place, so.
Well, how much later did you go back?
It was the 8th and then the 12th. that I went
So
back.
just a few days.
Yeah. I asked her, do you want me to do the Groupon or cash? And she said, and I said, I had taken out cash. Can I just pay you cash?
You didn't pay her cash.
I did pay her cash.
No, you didn't. That I don't believe. That story is different than the one you suggested to me 5 minutes ago.
But what was the story?
That it was paid for in a Groupon.
No, I had looked and found her on a Groupon. I didn't buy the Groupon. I asked her, do you
Listen, you have proof of the $32 for the mascara, right? The same way you have proof of the $32 for the mascara, I want to see the proof that you paid her.
Okay, I don't have proof of that I paid
Because
her.
you didn't pay her. And I'm telling you that you didn't pay her because even your complaint doesn't say I paid her.
I had texted her and said, can you please, the first thing I texted her was, will you please just pay for them to get removed? I don't even want my money back. Just pay for them to get removed. And nothing back.
And that was on what date?
I'd need my phone to look at it. She's not licensed to do it in the first place, so she shouldn't even be paid.
Find for me the date.
I'm sorry, what was the date that you wanted for?
When you said to her, will you just pay to have them removed?
Okay. Okay. Do you want me to read it to you?
I want the date.
Oh, it's the 14th.
So, you went to her on the 8th. You went back to her on the 12th.
13th.
Well, you told me 2 minutes ago it was the 12th, that you went back to her on the 12th.
Oh,
because
sorry.
Because you said to me, why would she see me again if I hadn't paid her?
It was on the paper the 13th. It was the 12th. Sorry.
That's what you told me a moment ago.
Okay, I have
So you
it.
went back to her on the 12th, and then you left. And then on the 14th, 2 days after that, you said, just pay to have them removed. Now you can read to me what you said to her in that email to her.
Okay. I said, I am really unhappy with the work you did. I went and showed somebody that has been doing it in the business for over 10 years, and she has told me that it is completely wrong and that with a mascara, you're only supposed to put it on the base and not all over the lashes and hardly ever use it at all. And there are several lashes that are twisted, and there was gaps in between. I would like either a refund, or I'm going to have to report you to Double. I'm really sorry, you're really nice.
Report you to who?
Double, the Department of Public Licensing.
Go ahead. So?
I'm really sorry, you're really nice, and I don't usually do stuff like this, but I really don't have a lot of money, and to spend that money on this, it was like a treat for me because I don't get to get this kind of stuff done a lot. I'm just really unhappy, so it's up to you, and you can tell me what you would like to do to proceed. She never responded to me. And then I said, if you just want to refund me $100 or even $75, I will not contact anyone. It's up to you. She didn't respond to me.
Why didn't you respond to her?
Because she never paid me. And now she's all of a sudden complaining, and this horrendous story after I'd already heard her cries and complaints of her husband's gambling problems, of all the money problems they were in, and then you come and get a service and you don't even pay me. So, I mean, honestly, I figured, okay, that's the good thing about going through KSL because I'm protected. So therefore, she can handle it with KSL. I called my KSL lady that I did the ad with, let her know of the problem as well, and I let it go as far as until I was informed with the other stuff that we'll address in a moment.
Your Honor.
What?
May I speak on behalf of this case?
Who are you?
My name is Tammy McNeil. I'm a master licensed esthetician.
You want to talk about the subpar work that the defendant did? Is that what you want to talk about, or any?
I want to talk about the fact that I brought my license here for you to oversee. That she doesn't have one.
Just a second. Do you want to talk about her subpar work, or do you want to talk about the payment?
No.
Right now, I'm
the subpar work is perfectly fine within my realm of expertise.
Well,
to discuss. And you're laughing?
At the time that you performed this service.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a service that requires a license.
Yes, ma'am.
Show me the license.
I do not have the license. I was certified to be an eyelash extension specialist in 2012. In 2013, they had changed the law, and you had to have a separate license. I am an insurance agent.
Just a second.
Yes.
So the answer is, the long and short of it is you did not have a license when you performed this work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had no license.
No, that's understandable.
You performed a function that requires a license without a license, and the plaintiff was dissatisfied with the service. If she was satisfied, we wouldn't be here.
And later today,
I assume, since you have no papers in front of you, Mr. Sanchez, that you don't have proof that you had the other $1,200.
We didn't need the papers to show that we had $1,200.
Yes, you do.
Well,
hey, bueno, listen to me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lindsay Cook says esthetician Felicia Gallegos owes for damages resulting from bad eyelash extensions. Felicia's countersuing for non-payment of services rendered and harassment.
Okay, and how much did it cost you to remove the lashes that she did?
To remove it was...
you have to have the bills. That's the proof that I need.
It was $230 complete with her taking them off and putting them back on.
$230?
Yes.
Is what you paid to this lady?
Yes.
And that's what you're entitled to, because she doesn't have a license. You had no license.
Initially,
you had no license.
No, that's understandable. And if I was aware of that, I got fined.
Just a second. You had no license.
No,
you
that's fine.
performed a function that requires a license without a license, and the plaintiff was dissatisfied with the service. If she was satisfied, we wouldn't be here.
If she was satisfied, if she was dissatisfied, she went up to me and saw me 2 times, and I have a screenshot of her saying she loves my work. So,
$230. Is that what she paid you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
And what about my countersuit?
It's dismissed.
Okay.
No license, no countersuit.
Laugh at that.
But I am certified.
Parties are excused.
I'm just so happy to have this lady out of my life.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I know that she is not licensed.
Do you see the faces she's making behind you? She's so immature.
No, I was not making faces at her.
I don't want anything to do with this lady anymore. I wish you the best.
I know I paid her. She can lie about it all she wants. She's cited.
I'm so happy to just go.
I'm happy with it.
To not deal with recovering drug addicts.
Make sure that they are licensed before you go and see them.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dinwiddie versus Jaw. Step forward.
Jay Dinwiddie is suing Amadou Jaw for selling him a car with a rollback odometer.
Mr. Jaw, what do you do for a living?
I'm a freight forwarder, ma'am.
Who do you work for?
I work for myself.
You have your own company?
Yes, ma'am.
You have cars, trucks? What do you have?
I don't have cars. I don't have trucks. But I do export, international export.
Where do you work out of?
I work out of Georgia, Conyers.
You have an office there?
Yes, Your Honor.
You sold the plaintiff a car. Was that a personal car of yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long had you had the car?
I had the car close to a year.
Who did you buy it from?
I bought it from auction.
Where?
There's an individual that has a dealer license that I had to buy the car for me.
So you used his license to go and buy this car at auction?
No.
Explain how it happened.
He bought it for me at the auction.
So you told him to buy that particular car?
Yes, I was looking for a smaller car for me to drive that's gas efficient. And I told him the type of car I was looking for, and he looked for that car and told me. I said, that's fine. I want the car.
On what date did you purchase it?
I could not remember exactly the date, but I know it's somewhere around February or March of last year.
When you purchased the car, because he has all this information.
Yes, Your Honor.
How many miles was on the car?
I don't remember the exact mileage that was on there, but it's
approximate.
It was under 100,000.
Under 100,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you drove the car for a year?
Close to a year.
Why did you decide to sell it?
Because I bought another vehicle that I decided to keep. And because of that, I don't want to have two vehicles, so I decided to sell the other car.
When you sold the car to the plaintiff, how many miles did the odometer read?
It was about 70-some thousand or so, if I'm not mistaken.
Which means that somebody, from the time that you bought it until the time that you sold it to the defendant, despite the fact that you had used it over the year, turned back the odometer.
I'm not aware of that, Your Honor.
Well, that's just common sense. If you bought it and it had 100,000 miles on it, when you sold it, it had 70,000 miles on it. I wish my time clock was the same.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His response to me and your answer was he bought the car as is. He did buy the car as is. He bought the car as is with 76,000 miles on the odometer, but it had more than 76,000 miles on the odometer. That's not as is. That's as is with fraud.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jay Dinwiddie says Amadou Jaw sold him a car with a rolled-back odometer.
Okay, when you purchased the car, what did the odometer read?
75,000 change.
You have proof of that?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. And you purchased the car when, Mr. Dinwiddie?
October 7th is when I met him, of last year. Picture of the car and the odometer.
That's not 100.
I did not say it was 100, Your Honor.
You want to prove to me, sir? He has all the proof.
Yeah,
he has all the proof, sir, that at the time you purchased the car, it had over 100,000 miles on it. So somebody, some genie, turned back the odometer. In any event, the odometer was turned back, and you found this out relatively quickly?
Yes.
Are you driving the car now?
No, it's been sitting because I didn't want to drive it.
For any particular reason?
Because I asked him to take it back, and he wouldn't take it back.
Good. How much did you pay for it?
$7,000 in cash.
How would you like to buy that car? Would you say that car, at the number of miles that you had on it, would be a great buy, sir, at $2,000?
A great buy at $2,000?
Yeah.
$2,000 would be a fair price for it.
$2,000 would be a fair price.
Considering the amount of mileage that was on the car, yeah.
My limit is $5,000. That's the limit of this court. I think that you should be able to buy that car for $2,000. Which means ordinarily, and I read your complaint, sir, and your complaint says that according to statute, where you live, if somebody rolls back the odometer, you're entitled to treble damages. Well, I don't consider statutes here because I consider what's reasonable and fair, and I actually think that the defendant has to have a consequence with regard to this car because somebody, while the car was in his possession, tampered with the odometer so that it made it appear to be a more valuable piece of equipment than that which you purchased. There's no question he has the proof of that. He has the Carfax. You want to show it to me?
Sure.
What?
I disagree with that.
Well, I don't care what you agree with.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Your response to me and your answer was he bought the car as is. He did buy the car as is. He bought the car as is with 76,000 miles on the odometer, but it had more than 76,000 miles on the odometer. That's not as is. That's as is with fraud. What?
Your Honor, I'm not a mechanic.
I don't care. Listen, you're not a mechanic.
I am not a mechanic. The car, I sold it as is.
Listen to me. You sold it as is with fraud. How much did you pay for it?
I paid about $4,000.
Not about. How much did you pay for it?
I paid around $4,000 for the car, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I put new carpet in it. I changed the brakes. I did a lot of work on that car for me to drive it for my own personal use.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy.
I bought the car as is, and I drove it for some time. I sold it.
The mileage on the title when it was issued by the DMV was more than what's actually on the car as of today, which is $75,000.
The title was issued to me by the state. How can I produce a title?
The one time in my life that I don't check a Carfax, sure enough.
I bought the car as is, and I sold it the way it is.
Always check a Carfax and never give anybody the benefit of the doubt.
Vargas is suing her neighbor, 21-year-old Oscar Toribio, for vet bills and punitive damages after Oscar's pit bull attacked her chihuahua.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 460 on the calendar in the matter of Vargas versus Toribio.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, huh?
Miss Vargas, you and the defendant live in the same building.
Yes, sir.
You live on the same floor.
Uh-huh.
So you share a hallway together. You
Yes.
have a little dog. What kind?
I got a Chihuahua.
And you have a bigger dog. What kind?
It's a Bull Terrier.
And on a particular date, which was what date, Miss Vargas?
September 21st for my son's birthday.
On September 21st, Mr. Toribio, your dog bit the plaintiff's dog in the hallway of where you both live. And plaintiff's dog was injured. She wants you to be responsible for the vet bills for her dog. And then she says some sort of harassment, which she's going to explain to me. So this, we understand. She has a Chihuahua. You have a bull. I want you to explain to me why you are not responsible for the vet bills.
Read yourself again, please.
I want you to explain to me why you are not responsible for the vet bills that were caused when your dog bit her dog.
So what happened was, I was walking out of my house. Ramona was already in the hallway with her friend and her dog June, without a leash. So I was walking out, my dog China saw June without a leash in the hallway. So my dog went to June. They was playing for a couple of seconds. Ramona thought that they was fighting, but they wasn't fighting. They were just playing. So she got scared.
Who got scared?
Ramona.
Okay,
she got
so
scared.
Ramona got scared.
She got scared, so she went inside her apartment and got a stick. So she gave her stick to her son so he could hit my dog, because she thought that my dog, they was fighting. They was not fighting, they were just playing. So that's when they started hitting my dog with their stick, that's when my dog reacted, and that's when my dog bit Ramona's dog.
Now, it would seem to me that if somebody was hitting me with a stick, like you say her son was hitting your dog with a stick, the natural reaction would be, stop shaking your head, it's annoying. The natural reaction would be, you go after the person that's hitting you with a stick, right? Why would you go after the Chihuahua?
I was after my dog.
No,
And my
not
dog,
you.
Uh-uh.
I want you to pretend to be your dog. I come over to you and start beating you with a stick. You're reacting to me hitting you with a stick by going and grabbing him on the neck. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. Somebody is hitting you with a stick. You go after that person. You don't go after the Chihuahua.
My dog got scared.
Your dog got scared.
Yeah.
And?
Because she thought...
And just a second. Is what you're telling me, because you can't go into your dog's mind. I'm just actually playing with you, Mr. Toribio, but I'm enjoying it. Because you can't tell me that your dog got scared because you don't know that your dog got scared. So what I'm asking you is, let's say I'm going to let you tell me about the emotional condition of your dog, that your dog got scared. Is what you're telling me that when your dog gets scared, it bites people?
No.
It bites anything?
She got scared because she saw my dog was bigger than her dog. So she was telling me, Junior, get your dog out the way. So she went inside and...
I heard what you're saying, but you said that her son was beating your dog with a stick. Listen to me. Junior, you don't deny that your dog injured her dog. And what the excuse that you gave me is her son was beating your dog with a stick, and because your dog got scared, it bit the Chihuahua. Am I understanding your rationale, Junior?
Listen to what I said, though. When she thought that they was fighting, but they was not fighting. They was just playing.
We're past that already.
All right, but that's when she got the...
We're past that. They were playing. But at some point, your dog bit her dog.
When she thought that they was fighting, she was yelling at me, yo, get the dog out the way.
I want to know when your dog bit her dog.
When?
What was happening when your dog bit her dog?
They were just smelling each other. They were just playing. And then she got scared.
Playing is not biting. Do you go to school?
Yes.
What school do you go to?
No, school? No, I don't go to school.
Do you have a video of what happened?
Yes,
I'd like
Your
to
Honor,
see it.
I got a video.
You, yeah.
Thank you. Should have stayed in school. How old are you?
20 years old.
What do you do? Nothing.
Nothing.
Should have stayed in school. I was right.
Okay, Your Honor, it's a little bit blurry, but I could show you where my son is. This is my son here. I gave him the stick. And he's standing there.
Where's the two dogs?
My
Right down
dog
there.
is right there.
And
Gina
that's his
is
dog?
carrying my dog, dragging him in the hallway.
Yeah. The son
His
trying
other
to
friend
get,
is
trying
there,
to get
and
him
my
off
friend,
the dog.
because I was hitting the dog with a stick, but then I passed it to my son, and his other friend came, and he grabbed a bat too, and started hitting. Excuse my language, but he was standing there like a piece of doing nothing.
I got scared.
Okay? Doing nothing because he just got the dog.
Because she just yelling at me.
Excuse me. He just got the dog. He bought it for $200. The dog is 3 years old. And the thing is, I can explain to you how that dog came inside my apartment and how it's happened, because what he's saying is a lie.
I understand he's lying. Now, where did you get this dog?
Me?
Not me. No. Bird.
A friend of mine.
When?
When? I don't remember what day. August. It was August something.
So you only have the dog for a short time, and it's a fully grown dog.
And it's a smart dog.
If it's smart, I wouldn't go into a contest with it if I were you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Because he's lying. That's what it is. The way he said the story is not true.
They can say whatever they want. I know.
My dog was sleeping. She grabbed him by his neck.
She was in the whole hallway with her dog with no leash.
Very frightening. I was scared.
She want to be the only one in the building with dogs.
I hope they take away the dog from him.
She don't want me to have a dog.
Saying that he can't have no dog at all because he don't know how to deal with the dog.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Haywood versus Nix, step forward.
James Haywood is suing his former friend, Burdell Nix, for an unpaid loan to get her car fixed.
Mr. Hayward, how did you meet Miss Nix?
Oh, I've known Miss Nix for years, a number of years.
How many years?
Oh, over 40.
Just friends?
Just friends.
Tell me why you gave her this $800.
First of all, I didn't give it to her. I loaned it to her.
The word give can be a gift, it can be a loan. You gave her $800.
Okay.
I want you to tell me why you gave her the $800.
Well, she calls me on Monday or Tuesday, I believe it was.
In what month?
In August. She said, my car is in the shop. I can't get it past smog test. It's going to cost $800 for me to get it fixed. I said, well, $800.
Had you ever given her money before?
No.
So this was the first time in 40 years?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can I ask you to speak a little louder? I'm having sinus problems today.
I can't speak any louder than this. I'm shouting like I was at a football game. What did you take the $800 for?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Haywood is suing his former friend, Burdell Nix, for an unpaid loan to get her car fixed.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was a little reluctant at first, but then she said, well, I'm going to pay you back. So I said, okay, I'll loan it to you. So I said, but I can't get it to you before Friday because she said the Labor Day weekend was coming up and she needed a car out by Friday because the shop was going to be closed over the weekend. I said, well, I can't come to Carmona to give it to you. So she said, well, I bank with Bank of America. I think you bank with Bank of America. Could you have it transferred into my account? I said, well, okay. So she gave me her account number. I transferred it into her account. She called me a day later and said, okay, I got the money. I didn't hear anything else from her for about a month and a half.
And that was in August?
That was in August. So sometime in September, I decided to call and see what was happening. I called her 2-3 times. more or less, left messages. I didn't get a return call until about 2 or 3 days later. She called me back, wanted to know why I was leaving all these messages on her cell phone. I said, well, you didn't return my calls. You know, I was just wondering what was happening. So I was just checking to see how things are going, you know, how we're coming on this loan. She said, I'm going to pay you back your money. Don't worry about it. I'm doing some other things. I'll make sure that I pay you back. I said, okay. So the conversation ended on fairly good terms. So about another month and a half went by. I didn't hear anything else from her. So I decided to call her again to see what was happening. So I called her again. This was in November now. I called. I had to leave 2 or 3 messages again before I got a return call. So then she called back, and this time she was very irate. She jumped all over me and said, why are you leaving all these messages on my phone? I said, well, you have a problem with returning calls. But then she just went off on me. She was ranting and raving. Got to a point where, as I said, can I get a word in? She said, no. Just kept on ranting and raving. And she says, I'll call you back at my convenience, not at yours. Bam. Hung up the phone.
Go ahead.
She called me back the next morning around 8 or 9 o'clock. Took up where she left off the day before, jumping all over me about a little bit of everything. And says, I'll be out of town in December. I won't be back until sometime in January for a basketball game. Don't call me anymore. Don't leave any more messages on my phone. Bam. Hung up on me again. So that's twice in 2 days she hung up. I said, hey, this thing is going downhill real fast. So that's when I started legal proceedings, small claims.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, we don't deny, Miss Nix, that Mr. Haywood gave you $800 to fix your car.
Can I ask you to speak a little louder? I'm having sinus problems today.
I can't speak any louder than this. I'm shouting like I was at a football game.
Okay, he speaks in a really soft voice, but I...
Just listen to me carefully. He gave you $800
yes,
to
I know
fix
that.
your car.
He did. He gave me $800, but it wasn't to fix my car.
What was it for?
He gave me $800 as a gift. Mr. Hayward, I really don't know him. I only saw him 2 times before that happened. Once he asked me if he could drive 65 miles from L.A. to Corona to come and take me to dinner.
What did you take the $800 for?
He gave it to me as a birthday gift.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. Goodbye.
All these are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy.
He gave me $800 as a gift.
She asked me for a favor. I mean, why would I volunteer to give her $800?
I met this man like 1966. I was a teenage girl. He tried to pick me up on a bus stop.
In 1966, I was a teenager practically. I mean, I did a lot of things in 1966.
And 50 years later, he tried to pick me up again.
But that doesn't mean I still do the same things now.
I don't know any men like him. Don't want to know any men like him.
Is she now? Forget it. You may as well ask me. You ain't getting it either.
Mark Michelonis is suing his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, for rent, a security deposit, and stolen property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2066, Michelonis versus Robertson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Robertson, how long had you been living in your apartment prior to renting a room to the plaintiff?
I believe it was about 3 years.
You had been living there by yourself?
No, I had roommates previously.
When did the plaintiff move in?
I believe that it was January 1st of 2017.
2017?
It may have been 2018. It was the first, I forget.
It was 2018.
That's correct.
How long did he live there with you?
He lived there with me until September of 2021.
So far, that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So now let me understand this lawsuit. Mr. Robertson lived in his apartment for 3 years. You answered an ad for a room. You lived with him in his home as a tenant from January 2018 until September 2021.
Correct.
At that time, there was a dispute. We will get into that in a moment. There was a dispute. During part of that time, Mr. Michelonis, you did not pay rent. Is that correct? During COVID?
That's correct.
For what period of time did you not pay rent?
Well, there was, I had...
Give me how many months you did not pay rent?
There was...
You don't have to think out loud.
How many months between January of 2018 and September 2021 did you not pay rent? Give me a number. That's a number.
4 months. Some months I paid partial rent. But there were 4 months that I did not pay any rent.
4 months, no rent. And how many months did you pay partial rent?
I believe that would have been 4 or 3.
So for 7 months, you did not pay your rent. Paying partial rent is not rent. Now, my question to you, Mr. Robertson, is this is an apartment that you rent.
Yes.
Or rented.
Mm-hmm.
From January 2018 until September 2021, was your rent current?
My portion of the rent was current.
What do you mean your portion?
My portion that I was responsible for.
No, it's your apartment. You're responsible for the whole thing, Mr. Robertson.
Yes.
Okay? You're responsible for the whole rent. And if what you chose to do was to say to your landlord, listen, I have a roommate, I'm just paying my portion of the rent, my roommate isn't paying his,
right,
then your rent wasn't paid.
Yes.
And I assume that your rent wasn't paid for the same period of time that he didn't pay you his portion of the rent.
Yes.
Was it for any period of time greater than that? Greater than the 4 months or the 7 months that he didn't pay rent?
I went through my bank statements and they went back until, I believe, July of 2020. And that's as far back as my bank app lets me go.
Okay.
There were more months than that I received partial or no rent payments for.
From him?
From him.
I'm asking you about your landlord. If you didn't pay your landlord, you telling me your landlord didn't file an eviction against you?
There were several months that he did pay his full rent, and so that would have meant that the entire rent for that period.
Well, I know, but if the rent was not paid, did your landlord ever serve you an eviction notice?
No, there was an eviction moratorium in Alameda County at that point for unpaid rents due to COVID.
Gotcha. So that would it be a fair statement that you both took advantage of that? He took advantage of it, and so did you.
I wouldn't say that it was me trying to take advantage. I would just say it was my inability to cover the entire rent.
Your portion as well as his?
My portion was always covered.
Your portion was covered?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Michelonis, when did you move from month and year?
It was September of 2021.
And when did you leave there?
I believe it was the 3rd or 4th week of August of 2021.
So you both left the place at about the same time?
I left involuntarily, but yes.
Well, you left involuntarily, because that's what this case is about. Okay, so now I have the structure of it. Do you understand the structure of it?
I understand.
You understand the structure of it? I just want to make sure that people out there watching understand the structure of it. So you were the rentor, and you had an argument. It resulted in a protective order for somehow, some genius put him out of his own apartment because of these protective. You weren't in the hospital for anything, were you, as a result of an assault? No.
No.
You have no medical records there of being treated for any injury.
It was a harassment.
Just a minute. Do you know my husband harasses me every day? Every day. I couldn't think of evicting him. I mean, you do other things. So the answer is, you were never treated for any illness. You were never treated for anxiety at a hospital as a result of this harassment. As a result of your allegations, let us say of harassment, Mr. Robertson was ejected from his own home, from which you had not been paying rent, your portion that you were supposed to pay contractually with him for months because of COVID. Am I getting this story right so far? I'm not finished yet, but so far, is there anything that I said was wrong?
I think that's pretty close. I mean,
okay, so that's pretty close. And now what you are seeking here is, should I say basically, and I hate that word, basically, but it's appropriate in this case. So all of those haters out there, she used basically, I don't care. It's appropriate here.
And I put in the protective order that they were living with me, but they were moving.
No. They were living with you. You were living with them.
Well, yeah, we were living together.
No. You were living with the defendant. He wasn't living with you.
Mark Michelonis claims his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, owes for rent, a security deposit, and stolen property. Christopher is countersuing, claiming Mark owes him for rent.
Now, what you're claiming in your lawsuit is that after a review of the copy of the underlying lease, you found that you were paying the vast majority of the rent.
Correct.
And so you want a return of that money.
That's correct.
Under what theory in the law?
Well, basically that he defrauded
No,
me.
now you can't use a basically.
Okay.
I want to know what theory is there in the law that says if I own a building and I lease to someone the whole building for $10,000, and then I find somebody who is prepared to pay me, and I have the first 2 floors of the building. 3rd floor is vacant. I find somebody who's willing to pay me $9,000 a month just for the top floor. That makes me a good business person. But unless there is something that prohibits him from doing that...
There is, Your Honor.
Show me.
There's a clause in the lease.
No, just show me.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer. I can read a lease.
So the sublease that I agreed to with him incorporates the entirety of this master
Just a second.
lease.
I'd just like to see it, please, sir. I'd just like to see it. I assume you've highlighted what you want me to read.
Correct.
Okay. So what you're pointing to is that the landlord, his landlord, was not advised that you were subletting.
No.
Well, that's why signed by every tenant.
So that was one of the things, because if you look at the second lease, the one that was altered by Christopher to remove those areas so I wouldn't be aware, or I wouldn't be able to enforce them, was because he moved his boyfriend in without getting my consent. And so it says in there that he needs written consent. I understand that that doesn't apply to me, but he thought it did. And so he used whiteout on the other lease that I gave to you to obfuscate those terms.
I don't know how to put this to you, sir, other than to say, let me backtrack. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a web developer.
You work for yourself or for a company?
I do. I'm an independent contractor.
How long have you been doing that?
2 years.
Prior to that, what were you doing?
I was a system administrator.
For whom?
For a small company in San Francisco.
How long did you work for them?
6 years.
So for 2 years, you were an independent web developer, and you're still an independent web developer.
Correct.
And that's how you support yourself.
Right.
So you work out of your home.
Right.
And you've been working out of your home, you said, the last 2 years since 2020. This is 2022 or 19.
Right.
What do you mean, right?
So it would have been.
When you moved in 2018, were you an independent contractor?
No, I was going to school.
You were going to school?
Right.
For what?
I went to.
Just a second, for what?
For web technologies. It was a program for web development technology.
Did you go in person?
Yes. It was an intensive.
For how long?
It was 3 months. It was 8 hours a day.
Okay, so you went to school for 3 months.
Right.
During what period of time?
January 2018 to end of March 2018.
Okay, and at that time you were living with the plaintiff?
Correct.
Okay, so you needed a room for that 3-month period, and after that time, you supported yourself by being your own boss, by developing websites for
It took
people.
me a while to find a job, but yes.
What do you mean it took you time to find a job?
The interview process to get work. I was interviewing. It was very hard to break into that industry.
And so what did you do?
So I started taking on independent work.
So you never actually got a job outside of the independent work that you did?
That's correct.
So you support yourself by doing web development out of your home?
Yes.
So you used the home that you were living in, that room that you were renting, for not only your personal business, but you operated a place of business out of your residence.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Yes.
Yes. I just want you to see how ridiculous you are. You want $10,000 because you overpaid what you consider your fair share of the rent. That's not going to happen. You come here, you didn't pay rent for at least 7 months because of COVID. You were working according to you. You were a web developer, still are. It's 2022 because you have no other job other than being a web developer. You stopped paying rent. You moved out after he did, correct?
Well,
did you pay?
I'd like to correct
in the
something.
month that you lived there, when you had put him out of his house because you were
they were moving out. I did not put him out of the house.
I thought that was a protective order.
It was, but they were, and I put in the protective order that they were living with me, but they were moving, and so.
No. They were living with you. You were living with them.
Well, yeah, we were living together.
No. You were living with the defendant. He wasn't living with you. You were renting a place, although you weren't paying rent from him, and the underlying landlord wasn't getting his money, all of his money, because he wasn't getting your money. And what's coming to me is that somebody got stiffed with rent, and that would be the landlord who rented you your place where you were living, because you didn't pay him the whole thing. You didn't pay him the whole thing. And now you want me, you're asking me, to award you $10,000 for overpayment of rent.
Your Honor, could I clarify something? The times when I didn't pay rent, I was not working. It was during COVID, so the first couple months of the COVID lockdown, I lost all of my contracts, so I didn't have any money. And so I was using there was a COVID process where you could, basically say that,
There's no basically in there, only I used it once.
I did not have the money to pay rent. I was not just making money and not paying rent. I would not do that. I was broke. All of my contracts dried up because nobody had any money. I was working for small
So what are you
companies.
suing him for now? The government was very good to you. This is a very interesting America. It's a rent forgiveness, a rent moratorium. That doesn't mean the state where you live. What state do you live in?
California.
California. That doesn't mean the owner of this premises was given some sort of a break that they didn't have to pay for utilities, taxes, mortgage on the building, because it's used as a business. As far as I know, there wasn't a moratorium on that, but there was a moratorium on two seemingly able-bodied people to say to the landlord, I can't pay my rent. To add insult to injury, you think that I'm going to give you $10,000 because he charged you more than whatever the third or 40% of your occupancy of the apartment, and he shouldn't have? That's not going to happen, sir. So forget it. I've been here a long time. If a landlord is owed $5,000,
yes,
he doesn't say, well, tenant owes me $5,000, but his apartment was clean. I'm going to give him back his $2,000 security deposit. That doesn't happen.
Mark Michelonis has accused his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, of overcharging for rent and keeping his property. Christopher is countersuing Mark for unpaid rent.
Now, you gave him a security deposit. That is part of your lawsuit.
Correct.
So I want you to forget the overpayment of rent because it is ridiculous.
Okay.
So now let's go to the security deposit, part of your complaint. Did he give you a security deposit?
He did, Your Honor.
Now, he didn't pay rent because of this moratorium
Yes.
on rent. Did you get your security deposit back from the landlord?
I did.
How much?
I believe I got the total amount for the entire apartment, which was approximately $2,000.
And how much did Mr. Michelonis give you as a security deposit?
He gave me $1,250 for the security deposit plus a $300 pet deposit.
Sometimes the pet deposit is refundable. Did you get the pet deposit back?
I don't recall specifically if I got that back from the landlord.
But you did get back your entire security deposit, which included his $1,250.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Let's hold that in abeyance for a moment, because now I'm going to go to your counterclaim.
Sure.
I think that's all I have to deal with. Oh, and property taken without permission. Did you get that property back? There was some...
I did not.
What property was it?
There was a stone Buddha carving. There was some dishes, some glasses.
Oh, give me a break. Do you have a stone Buddha carving?
I have the stone Buddha carving. I have a small statuette, a rooster that is his, and a small metal...
Great. Would you pack those up?
Yes.
Do you live close to each other?
I haven't been able to because of our mutual restraining orders.
Fine. Do you know where your local precinct is?
Yes.
Where is it located?
I believe that the closest one would be downtown for me, downtown Oakland.
Okay. You'll find out before you leave today. In 5 days, drop it off at the local precinct.
Absolutely.
Let him know when, and he could go pick up his Buddha.
Yes, I don't want
Great.
bad in my home.
Terrific. Now, money owed for COVID debt is your counterclaim.
Yes.
Which is what?
It is a total of $55.35, I believe.
For what?
That is the unpaid rent.
But you didn't pay his rent, you just told me.
Right, and so this is the outstanding balance of the rent that he never paid that I'm responsible for as the master tenant.
Oh, no, you just told me that you got your security deposit back. If you got your security deposit back, sir, that means that the landlord is finished with you.
According to the law...
Not according to the law. If you got your security deposit back, the entire security deposit, the landlord has written it off because otherwise he would have taken your security deposit if you owed him or her money. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very simple.
I understand what you're saying. It's
very simple.
I wish I could explain that to them in your...
Well...
in your manner.
I want to tell you something. I've been here a long time. If a landlord is owed $5,000,
yes,
he doesn't say, well, tenant owes me $5,000, but his apartment was clean. I'm going to give him back his $2,000 security deposit. That doesn't happen.
So
only in the land of Oz does that happen.
They might live there.
No, they might live there, but I don't live there. Okay. You owe him $1,250 for security deposit. This case is over. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to bring...
Bye.
Well, I was a little upset.
He's being a drama queen.
The clause in the lease was to prevent people from basically taking advantage of the fact that they've been living in a place for a long time and gouging rent for new tenants.
He said I was price gouging him because he was enough to pay more rent than he might have if he had done some more research.
They were trying to make it equal, and every place that I've lived in, there was always an equitable share of the rent. Like, no one was ever gouging anybody, so I felt that I was unjustly charged.
Well, I can't say it wasn't very satisfying to hear the judge call his claims ridiculous to his face.
Basically, he was leaving the front door open, making it so my dog could escape easily. He was filling the house up with smoke.
We both burned sage.
He was basically trying to get me riled up. He wanted me to move.
While I am disappointed that I won't be able to recover some of his COVID debt.
Basically, the moment that he was, it was inconvenient for me to be there, he tried to make my life miserable.
I'm glad that I will never have to see him again, and this is done.
I'm not living with roommates ever again. I've got my dog, and we're cool.
He was a nightmare, and I never have to see him again.
Far be it from me to second guess another judge, but it would seem to me sort of outrageous unless there was some sort of a physical altercation. Why anyone, because he clearly was excluded from his house. He left first, and he said, involuntarily. Would anybody exclude
the original tenant? When I read the papers, I thought the same thing. I thought that was outrageous, that they would throw out the primary leaseholder on a lease in favor of his subtenant, which may or may not have been legal to begin with.
I can understand it if there was something more serious, but harassment, I just don't understand it. But mine is not to wonder why. Mine is but to do what I do. And I don't think that when you come into a court where you have at least participated marginally in a giveaway, to then come in and say, you know what, there's a technical thing. He wasn't supposed to charge me this much rent because I didn't occupy this much of the apartment, whatever. Ridiculous when you didn't pay rent for 7 months anyway. It made my job.
Tiffany Nelson is suing her sister, Brandy Maida, for property damage, harassment, and lost work.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone, please. Hello, Ken.
Case number 2006, Nelson versus Mata.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Nelson, this is your sister.
Yes.
How old are you?
I am 42. 43, almost 44.
Oh, so are you the only two sisters?
We have some half-sisters, but yes.
But you're the only two full biological sisters. Now, there came a time, Miss Maida, that you moved into your sister's home.
Yes.
Is this a home that you own?
Yes, we built it.
In what year did you move into her home?
That would have been 2018.
Who else lives in the house from your family?
My disabled mother, my husband, and my child.
So your mother lives there?
Yes, I take care of my mom.
Tell me why you moved into your sister's basement, Miss Maida.
In 2015, my oldest son was in a tornado and suffered a severe brain injury. So when my sister Tiffany and her husband were looking for new houses, they offered to build an apartment in their basement so that we could live with them and get out of our mobile home. So when they built this house, it was built with the intention of us living in the basement.
Is that correct?
Yes, but for a year, because I do take care of my disabled mother, and the intention was for her to be in the basement eventually so that she doesn't have to use stairs.
Was the original agreement with your sister that it would not be a permanent move, but one that would last for about a year?
It was agreed that it was not a permanent. There was not a date set, though.
Okay, but it was agreed it was not a permanent, and you
Correct.
did not have a written lease?
Yes, we did. We do have a lease.
You did? I'd like to see it.
We had a month-to-month lease that I have as well. This is the current lease that subsides the other lease.
Okay, initially a month-to-month lease, and what month and year did you have her sign?
I have it right here. It's dated July 14th, 2018.
So this is a 6-month lease that ended January 31st.
Correct.
The rent was $800 a month?
Yes.
So this last lease was for your sister, her husband, and 2 children?
Correct.
I only ask that question because if my reading of your complaint was correct, you say that she moved her husband in without your consent.
So when we first agreed to let her move in 2018, she was divorcing, and the agreement was that her and her 2 sons could move into the home. He had nowhere to go, and she wanted him to move in. So because
in what year was that?
That was still 2018.
So that was still 2018?
Yeah, so we let, let him live there.
And since then you'd signed different leases with her, with him on the property?
Correct.
Okay, so then you acquiesced to it. When you were in the apartment, did you have pets?
I did,
How many pets did you have?
4 dogs. But then subsequently, some had passed away, so at the end, we only had 2 dogs.
Okay, well, at the signing of this lease, you had 6 pets, consisting of cats, dogs, and no other pets being allowed.
Correct.
And you agreed, regardless of ownership of the pets, agreed to restore the property to its original condition at your expense when you leave. Okay, good, because that's also part of what this is about, actually, most of what this is about.
Your Honor, they had 3 pets upon move out. They had just gotten a puppy, so they did have 3 pets and 2 cats upon move out.
Doesn't matter. Anybody who has 6 pets, after 3 years, the carpet needs to be replaced.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, your sister began to move out when? In what month?
She moved out on the 1st of February, 2022.
Pursuant to your agreement?
Correct.
And it is your claim that she left the premises in condition that required you to spend close to $10,000 to put it back into shape?
$6,500.
Okay.
For the basement damages.
I'd like to see photographs of what it looked like because we know it was brand new when you moved in because the house was just built. So we know that it's new.
I also have photographs that I took the day we moved out.
Okay. I'm going to give you these and then I'm going to look at yours.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no question you have to replace the carpeting.
Right.
You understand that. Did you replace the carpeting?
No, I had not had any contact from her.
Do you have the bill for the carpeting?
I replaced 1 room already, and I have that, and then I have the estimate to replace the other carpet.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. And that's the main thing that I see in the apartment that has to be done from these photographs. Okay, did you leave a lot of food in the refrigerator and all kinds of stuff in the refrigerator?
No, so what happened was the refrigerator...
Just the answer is either yes or no. Did you leave a whole lot of stuff in the refrigerator?
No.
Anything in the freezer?
No, there was no fridge or freezer.
And cabinets, did you leave anything in the I'm just looking because there's a picture here of a whole bunch of food.
Right. I hadn't finished moving out.
My question,
but yes, there was
my question is, you were supposed to be out by February 1st. On February 1st, was there food in the house?
Yes.
Okay, and it should have been moved. Whether you moved out yet or not, you were supposed to be out by February 1st. Okay, I'd like to see those. So you replaced the carpet in what room?
One of the bedrooms, so my mom could move down there so she could not use stairs.
Okay. Sarah, add these 2 figures and have them for me, please. And I don't know what this is a photograph of.
So the bags that were left in the home, there was ice cream that was left in those bags, and it had leaked on my flooring, and we moved it outside. And that is the rotted food from the bags.
Okay, do you know how that happened?
I don't. I have not seen that.
Okay. May I see photographs, please, that you took on the day you moved out?
Yes.
I have that total, Judge. $4,129.
$4,121?
29.
29.
And 21 cents.
Thank you. Is this after the carpet was taken out?
Yes.
Kevin, can I please see the photographs that you took? Actually, they're pretty much the same. Not terrible. A lot of it is ordinary wear and tear, except for the carpet. So that's $4,129. The only other thing that I'm questioning is that I saw these rocks. And I want somebody to explain these rocks to me.
So because of the water level, if you go out the downstairs patio, there's rocks there to prevent the yard from sliding.
Getting wet.
So some of the rocks were moved. They're supposed to all go in a line, and they go down and over. So we have to pay a landscaper to come out and basically redo that.
Well, how did that happen? Do you know?
They're pretty heavy rocks, so...
I don't know. Do you know? Did you move the rocks?
No, you would need like a skid loader to move those rocks. There's no physical way to move those.
Where do you live?
With one person.
I live in far west Utah, farm country.
Looks like there's water comes down through here.
Yes, we live across the street from a pond as well.
You don't know how that happens. Now, you have, in addition to your claim, which is for damage, you feel it's necessary to go into these allegations of harassment by your sister?
I honestly just want to be done with her and not get threatening text messages and stuff on social media.
No chance of a reconciliation. You
Not
lived
on my
together
end.
for a while.
I've blocked her from
For a long time.
Yeah.
Ms. Mehta, your sister was there at a time when you needed her.
Yes.
You think that there's any potential for the two of you to sort of restore some kind of working relationship? Are you the only two?
No. This
No.
is the funeral of our
All
relationship.
right, not my job. That's a job for another professional. Okay, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim, just as she's not going into harassment, I'm not going into anything that involves the harassment. It is your claim that you left certain furniture behind. Well, why wasn't your furniture out on the 1st? Your lease expired at the end of the month in January.
It did. And I did let them know that I was not done.
Well, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to break your contract. Only two people can break a contract, Ms. Mehta. The two people are the same two people that signed it. You signed a contract that said you would be out on a certain date. You weren't out on a certain date. The fact that you notified her that you're changing the terms of the contract unless she agreed to it, then you should have had your stuff out by the 31st. Why didn't you?
Because she had made it very difficult during my moving process. There was a lot of, like I said, harassment and stuff that happened during that moving process. She called the police on the people that were helping me. She made it very difficult to get it done. There was no way that I could get it done on that day.
Let's get back to call the police.
And later today,
after Mr. Martinez got into the picture, he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer.
So you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Tiffany Nelson claims her sister, Brandy Mehta, owes for property damage after living in her basement. Brandy is countersuing for the return of her belongings.
Who did you have moving you?
I had my best friend, Brittany, was helping me.
Does Brittany and your sister have any negative history?
They do.
Okay. Well, if they have any negative history, why would you have her come into the house?
Because she doesn't have any access to Tiffany at that point. There was no reason for them to talk. They wouldn't be even associating.
You know, if I knew that there were issues between my landlord and a particular person, especially if my landlord was my sister who let me move into her house, just from a question of using my brain, I wouldn't bring somebody that had been on the outs with them. If they didn't like them, that's one thing. You know, I'm really not crazy about your friend Brittany. That's one thing. But if you knew that there was an active, aggressive feeling against one or the other, you should have had somebody else move. So why didn't you get your stuff out?
Well, so I didn't think that it was as serious as that. They are related.
If they're related and don't like each other, or the plaintiff doesn't like her, then that's even worse. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she was my only help. I didn't have anybody to help me at that time. So.
Then start doing it sooner. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was the only reason.
Miss Mehta, where was your husband?
He was working. We were working during this whole time.
Well, that's okay. I've moved and worked. I used to move every time I needed a paint job. I would pack up and move, and I constantly worked. I've worked for 58 years. So that's not a reason. You pack in the evening. You go down after work, you get newspaper from the grocery store, and you get old cartons, and you wrap up the dishes and the cartons, and you manage to get out when you're supposed to get out. And she's not the only one who can help you. Maybe your husband has friends. If he doesn't have friends, I don't know why not. And in any event, that was not a smart thing for you to bring your witness. Furniture. What furniture did you leave?
I left patio set on the patio. It was all outside furniture.
Patio set.
You're on.
Just a second.
A lawnmower.
Okay.
outside bench that had storage and stuff, a fire pit, and lawn chairs.
Okay. And when did you buy the lawn chairs?
It would have been 2018.
Okay. And how much did you pay for each one?
They were $245 for the chaise lounges and $159 for the pool dining chairs.
Okay. Are those chairs at your home?
Yes.
May I see them?
Yes. There's 4 lawn chairs. There was never the long chair.
Let me see what's in the home.
I also had a cooler.
Just a second. Don't bother me about a cooler. Are the lawn chairs still there?
Yes.
Great, you can go get them.
Okay.
With a marshal, not with her. What about the fire pit?
Still there.
You can pick up the fire pit. What about the lawnmower?
Still there.
Patio set?
Still there.
They have painted that purple.
Painted back. Where are you living now?
I have a house.
Who are you living there with?
With my husband and my sister-in-law.
She's living with you? Mm-hmm. She's paying, it's not an answer, yes.
Yes.
She's paying you rent?
No.
Why not?
My husband's mother, their mother passed away, and she needed to be closer to family, so she's just living with us as family.
Okay, you're going to get all the property back that you say you left there. And you can do that within 5 days on notice to the plaintiff with a marshal. Just give him a copy of the order that will give you inside.
Okay.
With regard to the renovation of the house, she has to put the house in reasonable condition. Most of these other pictures demonstrate some wear and tear that you would have to do. Painting and plastering after 3.5 years, but the carpeting had to be replaced, $4,129. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I'm happy with her decision. I just wanted to fix my basement and move on with my life.
I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing to do. You know, I think we were both at fault.
Go back home, fix my house, and honestly have nothing to do with her again.
And if she had come and talked to me like a normal person, we could have figured this out without this.
No, I'm completely done.
I would like to not be inappropriate, but she's just not a good person.
You know, I think that the two sisters had the best of intentions. Didn't you get that feeling?
I did. From moving in and knowing you have a designated place at a time of need, that she was going to design the basement for you to live in, although not permanently, I thought it was going to go in a good direction.
And I'm sure that the plaintiff's mother, who lives with her, is sad that she doesn't get to see her other daughter probably as frequently as she would like, because they lived together in the same home, evidently, for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very bad. There's always collateral damage when people don't get along.
True.
Brian Martin is suing his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Hancock, and her ex-boyfriend, Derek Jones, for personal property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2063, Martin versus Hancock Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Martin, how old are you, sir?
I'm 46.
Who is this with you?
This is my girlfriend, Kimberly.
Case is not unusual, but sad. Mr. Martin, you had a long history of drug addiction.
I did.
From when to when?
From 2002 until December 1st, 2020. I've been clean for 2 years on the 1st of December.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Did you manage to get clean by going into a residential facility?
I did, yes.
How long were you in a residential facility?
I was in 23 days in an inpatient facility, and I was just over a month in an outpatient facility.
Are you currently working?
I am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a production manager for a soap and bath bomb company.
How long have you been working for them?
A year yesterday.
Are you in touch with your folks?
I am.
Back in their good graces?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a time when that wasn't true.
Correct.
This is what I gather this case is about. Miss Hancock was your girlfriend.
Yes.
For how long?
We dated from November 2019 until April 2020. We separated for a few months and got back together in July 2020 and separated again in September 2020, so 7 months.
And it would be a fair statement, sir, that the reasons that you separated on both instances is because you relapsed into using drugs.
Yes.
And it would also be a fair statement that the first time you left the house at the defendant's request, you were unsuccessful permanently from ridding yourself of addiction, but you thought you were okay and you asked her to take you back.
Yes.
And she did.
Yes.
And you would have to acknowledge to me that made her, A, a forgiving person.
Very.
And someone who cared about you.
Yes.
I say all that to you because it's not my job today to exacerbate what appears to be a strained situation, which I assume from your papers has resulted in a final protective order in favor of Miss Hancock, keeping you away from her for how many years?
Permanently.
Forever.
Yes.
And that was after a criminal case was resolved, and that was a criminal stalking case.
Yes.
That was resolved, and it was resolved in her favor probably, and I don't know this for certain, probably with a plea from you.
Yes.
And when you enter a plea, the judge always asks you, you understand your right to have a trial, you have a right to examine witnesses, you have a right to call witnesses, and by making this admission, it is the same thing as a guilty verdict.
Correct.
Judge did tell you that.
Yes.
I assume. I mean, I remember making those statements many, many times. A long, long time ago. I'm surprised I still remember any of it. And you're supposed to remain away from her.
Yes.
So the first question I have, well, I know why you're here. You're here because you say the last time she threw you out, and she threw you out not only because she found drugs that you were using again, but she had a fear that you were selling drugs out of the house, and she couldn't be involved with that, which is perfectly legitimate. You would have to acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
You'd also acknowledge, and I'm reading these papers sort of between the lines, your complaint, her answer, and the countersuit, that Miss Hancock had a child.
Yes.
A son.
Yes.
How old? When you were
15 at the time.
And uber impressionable age, and the fact that you were abusing drugs in the house, it really exposed him to something that a teenager shouldn't be exposed to, because his mother has feelings for that person who's drug addicted.
Yes.
And I assume you had warm feelings at some point for this 15-year-old.
Absolutely.
At the time, your parents had asked you to leave the house.
I was living with my parents at the time. Jennifer asked me to move into the house because Mr. Jones had placed a GPS tracker on her car, and she was concerned about her safety with him.
So you were dating at the time?
Yes, I was living with my parents before I moved in, yes.
Okay. Was that a happy situation?
At the time it was, yes. It didn't get difficult till after.
Moved away from that. And when you moved in with Miss Hancock, according to you, you were not paying rent.
Correct.
You were, in fact, working.
I was.
And according to you, you were working, not paying rent, and buying certain things for the house in lieu of rent. That's what you say in your papers.
Yes, I bought things for the house. Yes.
Those were exactly the words that you swore to. You said, I also spent over $10,000 on things for her place.
Correct.
In lieu of paying to live there.
Correct.
What things did you buy?
I bought a dryer.
Dryer?
I put $1,200 into her son's Ford, fixing it. I bought...
Okay, so you paid for some things for her son. What else did you buy for the house?
We went to Costco several times and spent $1,000.
Okay, so you
towels.
went, just a second. Yeah. I'm not interested in Costco several times. Yeah. You know, you do use toilet paper, don't you?
Absolutely.
What else did you buy for the household?
I bought a battery for a Ford car. I bought a Keurig. I bought a rug, towels. I paid for the vacations while we were together. I bought some home lights for the outside.
Come on. Keep going. What else did you buy?
And
what else did you buy for the house? So far, we're not close to $10,000.
That's all.
Well, you swore to the fact that you spent $10,000, that you bought things for the house in lieu of rent. So far, you've given me maybe $2,500.
Okay.
And that includes a couple of trips to Costco. So I want to know, what else did you buy for the house? Did you buy televisions for the house?
I bought televisions.
Just a second. How many televisions did you buy?
I bought two.
And how much were they?
One was $1,700, the other one was $500.
What else did you buy for the house?
Those are the only items I remember buying for the house.
Great. Now, what items do you claim that, because that's what this is about so far, what items do you claim that Miss Hancock kept that belonged to you when she told you to leave the second time?
I have text messages saying...
No, don't tell me text. I don't want to hear text messages. I want to hear what items you claim are your property that she kept when she told you to leave the second time. That requires things: a fishbowl, a guppy, a pair of shoes, a tie. And if you say any of those things, I'm going to throw you out of here because I don't waste my time over guppies.
Yeah.
So tell me what you are alleging that she kept.
2 TVs.
Okay.
An entertainment center.
Just a second. You didn't tell me an entertainment. You told me you bought 2 TVs, $1,700 and $500. That would fit into the $10,000 of what you spent in the house. Entertainment center. What did you pay for the entertainment center?
Originally, I paid $1,200.
What else?
I'm also asking for the return of a rehab center that she was kicked me out of, $2,500.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Keep going.
Okay. And then 47 Nintendo 64 games.
47 what?
Nintendo 64 games.
So, Mr. Martin, because I'm going to make short shrift of this case, as you can see right now, and your girlfriend looks like a nice lady. I don't know why you're here. You seem to have problems with boyfriends. You got to start picking them better.
I do.
This one put a tracker on you. This one, you have a protective order permanently. You have to figure these things out before ultimately you get very hurt.
Brian Martin claims his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Hancock, and her ex-boyfriend, Derek Jones, owe for personal property. Jennifer and Derek are countersuing for harassment.
Okay, so far, all the things that you told me that you bought for the house barely add up to the $10,000 that you swore that you purchased for things for the house in lieu of paying rent. Do you understand?
I do. If I may also add, when we were separated the first time, I sold my marital home for $47,000. I cashed it at my bank and I put it into an account with her that I was an authorized user on. I did not get that money back because she removed my name from the account. So that money also went to purchase things while we were together that were for the house. I don't remember specifically what we bought. It was close to $20,000 that wasn't returned.
But Mr. Martin, I can understand that. But you know, this is a court.
Okay.
This is not a guessing game. This is not a game show. If you're saying that because of whatever reason you put your money into an account that she had access to and you spent money together on the house from that account, I can't help you with that.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I do.
I mean, it was a time that was a fog. Did Miss Hancock and or Mr. Jones ever return any property to you or to your parents' house?
They did on November 20th.
That was in 2021?
Yes.
What month in 2021 did they return things to your parents' house?
It was November 20th to the 21st during the night.
Were you present?
I was not. I did not live there.
So I would assume that you found out that that property was delivered to your parents' house from either Miss Hancock or your parents.
My parents.
And your parents aren't here today.
They are not.
Your girlfriend was not there when they were delivered.
I have signed affidavits from them.
From whom?
From my parents about the property.
Are your parents in any way disabled, or are either one of them in the military?
No, my father was in the military, no longer.
Well, that's the only reason you don't come in person to court if you're disabled, and I might accept an affidavit, or if you're unable to come to court by virtue of the fact that you're in the military. None of those things apply here, so I'm not taking any information that you have in an affidavit. Suffice it to say that they did, over a 2-day period, return a lot of property to your parents' house.
Yes.
And that, based upon my rough guesstimates, because you can't help me out anymore with that you swore in your complaint, Mr. Martin, that you spent in lieu of rent $10,000
yes.
in the home.
Yes.
And that was specifically because you weren't paying any of the household expenses. Yes. And all of the things that you added up to me, I don't know what 47 video games are, but I assumed that the 15-year-old played them more than you did. She says they were gifted to him. I don't know whether they were or they weren't. Certainly, if you want them back. Do you still have any of the video games?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you want the video games, sir, or do you want to leave them where they are?
I would like them.
You would like them?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Hancock, I'm going to make this as easy as possible. I would like you, not the boyfriend, I would like you to pack up those video games. And do you live in the same town, area, whatever?
Close enough.
Is there a police precinct where you can drop them off?
Yes.
Do you know what precinct number that is?
I don't know the number, but I'm happy to drop them off at Bountiful City Police Department.
Got it?
Yep.
within 5 days from today, package up the videos that you have.
No problem.
You know, if any of them are damaged, I don't want to hear from you. We're talking about a year ago, a 15-year-old has played with them, whatever. She's going to give you back your video, your 47 video games. Okay?
Okay.
Take a breath. You have to say it's over. Tell me about your new girlfriend. Are you living together?
We are, yeah. She's great. I love her.
She's great.
She's amazing.
And you're fine?
Yeah.
And you're working?
Mm-hmm.
You have to put a period to this.
Yes.
A real period.
I know.
Okay. Ms. Hancock, you and are you currently together, or is this an ex-boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend. Well, you seem to have problems with boyfriends. You got to start picking them better.
I do.
This one put a tracker on you. This one, you have a protective order permanently. You have to figure these things out before ultimately you get very hurt.
Absolutely.
Okay. I read not only your answer, and I've resolved Mr. Martin's claim. He is going to get all of his videos back. You know that Ms. Hancock and Mr. Jones have a cross-claim for harassment.
I do.
And that was not made part of the criminal case, any restitution.
No.
It was not. Did the district attorney request any restitution?
No.
Why not?
I was actually not involved. It was a criminal case, not a civil.
Well, you were the complainant in the criminal case.
The state of Utah is the one who filed it.
But you were the complainant. They may have filed it.
It actually says right here, state of Utah is the plaintiff.
Of course.
So,
I know that
I did contact the police and ask them to
So
do this.
you
Yes.
were the complainant.
Okay, yes.
You know, it's the state of New York versus John Jones. It's the state of Utah versus John Jones, but there has to be a complainant.
Yes.
Somebody who was robbed, somebody who was the victim of stalking, somebody who was the victim of an assault. That's the complainant. That's who you were.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Did you ever ask the district attorney for compensation for lost wages or anything else that you suffered as a result of this stalking?
No, I was not aware I could actually do that.
Okay, well, that's not something that I consider, but there is part of your counterclaim that is particularly troubling to me. And it is your claim on the counterclaim that Mr. Martin, at some point, photoshopped pornographic pictures of you.
Yes.
And disseminated them.
Yes.
When did that happen?
It was left on Derek's car. And I'm not sure when, because Derek found it and didn't tell me about it for a while because he was upset and he didn't want to upset me about it.
When did you find it, Mr. Jones?
That would have been after this first bogus stalking injunction he filed and lost.
Bogus?
He filed a fraudulent stalking injunction. He filed
Stalking?
Against me.
So it was after that?
Mm-hmm.
And that was May of 2021?
One.
I'm trying to tell Mr. Martin, and I don't know how to make it any more clear to him, that his path going forward has to be putting a period, that in this whole scenario, you were the culprit.
I did not do what they're claiming right there. Absolutely, 100%. I did not.
You did not?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Let us assume, Mr. Jones, that you found on your car a pornographic picture that had been photoshopped with Miss Hancock's face and someone else's body. I'm assuming for a moment that that's true. Not that I have to look at it. I assume for the moment that's true. What proof do you have that Mr. Martin put that on your car?
Well, the problem is I don't have any proof of that, but he had put other signs up. I have a police report. He was hanging signs on my property. He got arrested for doing that and tased.
Okay.
I mean...
What I'm asking you specifically, that's what I'm particularly concerned about.
We couldn't prove it was him.
Hmm?
We couldn't prove it was him.
Okay, fine. Do you have a new boyfriend?
No, I do not.
In what month was the protective order made final?
May of 2022.
Other than this experience, what happened?
Oh, there's a fly.
There's a fly. Oh, Mr. Jones, I'm expert at flies. Let's not come here. You have an attitude, and you're not a baby. I mean, it's not as if you're 21 years old anymore. And if you have that within you, to have bad behavior against another person, that's there. Either you have it or you don't.
Brian Martin has accused his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Hancock, and her ex-boyfriend, Derek Jones, of keeping his personal property. Jennifer and Derek are countersuing, claiming Brian was harassing them.
Okay. Other than today's appearance, since that was issued in May of 2022, have you had any other contact with Mr. Martin?
No.
Have you?
Yes.
Tell me when.
5/7/2021, we called the police.
No. Pay careful attention to my question, Mr. Jones. Between May of 2022 and today, have you had any contact with Mr. Martin?
Just his files, his claims. He keeps filing protective orders against me.
When was the last time he filed a protective order against you?
Well, he tried filing one a week before this, and I have that.
A week before what?
Before this case.
Okay.
And I have that police report. They told him no.
Okay. So they didn't allow him to file it?
That one. But he's filed several others.
I'm talking about between May...
Nope, that's the last one.
That was the last one. I'd like to see it, please, Kevin. Mr. Jones, do you have a protective order in your favor?
I've tried.
Not tried.
No, I don't.
You do not? Okay.
Your Honor, I have a video of catching him stalking my house, hanging signs. We submitted that. We also have the police report that he was arrested that day and tased.
And tased?
Yep. I have that report right here as well.
I'd like to see it. Mr. Jones, I'm going to go back to just May of 2020. Since May of 2020, have you had any contact with him? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
When?
He's submitted letters to my family. He has emailed me.
I'd like to see the letters he submitted to your family.
These are some. He said, oh, there's more. These were cease and desist
Just
letters.
1 second. Just 1 second. What's this?
Mr. Jones texted me a text that says tweaker, and that's who I...
Just, dear Miss Jones, who did you send this to?
I'm not aware of the letter. May I see it?
He took it to my rental.
What are you giving me?
These are letters he submitted to my houses or my rentals when he was trying to find me.
Just a second.
This was in relation. Mr. Jones had a temporary stalking injunction in place against him on February 7th, 2021. On May 5th, 2021, he was served that stalking injunction, and that is when the incident with the Bountiful Police took place that you're reading right now. Mm-hmm. He showed up to where I was getting my oil change. In addition to that, he has sent Facebook messages to my girlfriend that she's here to testify on.
I'm going to tell you that you see how calm you are? Not him. You understand that? Not him. Probably not him, but definitely not him. And I'm going to just suggest to both of you that neither one of you want any other legal action. You already have a lifetime protective order issued against you in favor of Ms. Hancock. Yes. So I'm just telling you, I'd stay as far away from him, Mr. Martin, as I possibly could. Go a mile out of your way rather than go anywhere near where he is.
That's
fine.
That's what I'm doing now.
Now, Mr. Jones, you have, and I've been around here for a long time, these kinds of buildings for a long time, you have an attitude. I can tell you have an attitude. And things may have been bad historically, but you know your behavior wasn't perfect historically. You would agree with that with Ms. Hancock, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
You would agree with that. Okay. And you're not a baby. I mean, it's not as if you're 21 years old anymore. And if you have that within you to have bad behavior against another person, that's there. Either you have it or you don't. And what I'm suggesting to you is that this is not going to be a good outcome if this animus continues. She's not your girlfriend anymore. He's got a new girlfriend. You don't have anything to do with him anymore. Nothing. If you have to travel a mile out of your way to avoid going anywhere where he gets lunch, coffee, a Jiffy Lube, or anything else, I would suggest that you do it.
I've done that. He keeps filing protective orders.
Good. Well, he can do that. So can you. And what I'm suggesting is that it's not... Don't add fuel to this fire, madam. It's my job to try to temper it. If what you're going to do is to add fuel to this fire... I won't. Then I think that it's really not a smart idea.
Just gonna, yeah.
The plaintiff will get his 47 videos back within 5 days. They will be dropped off at the local police precinct. What?
May I actually say there's only 21 that was ever given, so there's not 47.
How many do you have?
We have 19 of those games.
Okay, 19.
Yes.
You have any other property that belongs to him?
No.
No. Okay, we're done here. 19. 5 days. Police precinct.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed because I've dealt with this man for over 2 years.
He's just jealous of my awesomeness.
I've moved on with my life. I have a new girlfriend, and I just want my things back.
Whatever. I just want him out of my life.
It's time to close the chapter. It's time to move on.
I never want to see him again. I never want to hear from him again.
People spend so much time with negative energy.
Oh, yes.
Sarah, if the one thing that you and all other single people out there can take away from this case is that women are supposed to be smart. And clearly, she had a nose for bad boys.
Yeah.
Because according to what we heard, the reason she invited him to come and live with her was because the
different problem with a different
co-defendant, right, co-defendant, Mr. Jones, was really stalking her.
Mm-hmm.
And the same problem she had with the plaintiff. But stalking is an odd one. You have to be a little bit off to engage in stalking, to really terrorize somebody.
Especially to the level of legal action for stalking.
Yeah.
Because I know the standard for getting a restraining order, even a temporary one, is very high, the standard.
There has to be some pretty serious stuff that the judge reads. And he pled guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Jones also acknowledged that he had not treated her well. So it's always sad to me when perfectly reasonable women, sometimes because of their need to nest, will choose subpar mates.
I think it's more important to hold on to your own energy than to allow it to seep into these negative wells that will just run you dry.
You're absolutely right. Just remember it.
I'll try.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
Mình xin chào mọi người. Chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh về một nàng vũ công ba lê nha. Đầu tiên thì mình sẽ tô phần mái tóc nhé. Bây giờ thì các bạn sẽ cùng với mình tô màu theo chiếc vẽ nha. Giờ thì chúng ta sẽ tô nốt màu cho đôi giày nha. Sâu trong trái tim giờ đây chúng ta Và mình đã hoàn thiện xong cho bức tranh và đây chính là bức tranh của mình nha. Mình cảm ơn mọi người đã cùng mình đón xem. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Tạm biệt và hẹn gặp lại.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम भाइयों, मैं हूं आपका दोस्त रसूल शाह और आप देख रहे हैं रसूल शाह टीच। आज की वीडियो में मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि आपने कैसे बैकग्राउंड चेंज करना है और बनाना कैसे है। जिस तरह मैंने पीछे बनाया अपना बैकग्राउंड, इसमें मैंने अपना नाम भी लिखवाया है, तो आप भी इस तरह बना सकते हैं। और इसे फिर कैपकट में कैसे चेंज करना है, तो आज की वीडियो में मैं आपको ये बताऊंगा। तो वीडियो को लाइक करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन भी दबाना आपको चाहिए कि मेरे हर वीडियो आप तक पहुंच सके। तो चलिए वीडियो की तरफ चलते हैं।
मोबाइल स्क्रीन आने के बाद फिर आपने क्रोम को ओपन करना है। ओपन करने के बाद फिर आपने इधर टाइप करना है बिंग टाइप करने के बाद फिर आपने जो नीचे आप देख रहे हैं इमेज क्रिएटर फ्रॉम माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, इस पर आपने क्लिक करना है। क्लिक करने के बाद जो डिस्क्रिप्शन मैंने अपने इस वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में दिया है उसे कॉपी करके आपने इधर पेस्ट करना है। बाद फिर आपने क्रिएट पर क्लिक करना है। क्रिएट पर क्लिक करने के बाद ये थोड़ा सा लोडिंग करेगा, आपकी इमेज क्रिएट होते रहेगी। तो आप इधर देख सकते हैं कि आपके इमेज क्रिएट हो चुके हैं। फिर आपने इधर इस पर थोड़ा सा होल्ड करना है। फिर आपने इधर डाउनलोड इमेज पर क्लिक करना है। डाउनलोड इमेज होने के बाद फिर आपने इसे क्लोज करना है। फिर आपने कैपकट को ओपन करना है। कैपकट को ओपन करने के बाद फिर आपने न्यू प्रोजेक्ट पर क्लिक करना है। फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने ये डाउनलोड किया, मैं इस पिक को लेता हूँ। पिक लेने के बाद फिर आपने ओवरले पर क्लिक करना है। ओवरले क्लिक करने के बाद एड ओवरले पर क्लिक करना है। मैं ये वीडियो लेता हूँ। वीडियो लेने के बाद फिर आपने इसे साइज को थोड़ा सा बढ़ाना है। बढ़ाने के बाद फिर आपने इधर आना है, थोड़ा सा इधर आना है। फिर आपने इधर देखना है रिमूव बीजी, इस पर क्लिक करना है। अपने क्लिक करने के बाद फिर आपने ऑटो रिमूवल पर क्लिक करना है। ऑटो रिमूवल जिस तरह आप क्लिक करेंगे फिर आपकी बैकग्राउंड होता जाएगा चेंज फिर आपका बैकग्राउंड चेंज होता जाएगा। तो आप देख सकते हैं फाइनली हमारा बैकग्राउंड रिमूव हो चुका है, आप देख सकते हैं। तो इसी तरह आप बैकग्राउंड चेंज कर सकते हैं। अगर वीडियो अच्छी लगी तो लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें और चैनल और बेल आइकन को दबाना मत भूलिएगा। थैंक यू।